Yes.
There we go. What's up, everybody? This is Karak with ACG, and I'm here with Johnny and Abzy for the Best Gaming Podcast, number 430. As always, we had a little bit of a technical glitch. Had multiple technical glitches. If you guys were informed about an hour and a half ago that we went live, obviously we didn't. I don't quite know exactly what's going on, but I was out playing with my dogs, and it suddenly said that we were going live. So I apologize for that. We'll try to get it fixed. I'm trying to work on it behind the scenes. YouTube is just sort of a disaster when it goes behind the scenes. We're live, right? Showing me live?
Yeah, we're live.
All right. Anyway,
yeah, we're live.
So Johnny and Abzy are here. What I was saying earlier was, it's so funny because I can always tell something's either really bad or somebody said something to you guys in the chat. Because I was talking and I was asking you guys questions and you weren't answering at all. And I was like,
we were trying to figure out what was going on.
Issue. Yeah, we weren't live. Oh. But anyway, I appreciate everybody showing up. Sorry about that. You know what? We're the Best Gaming Podcast for a reason. There we go. The joke's never going to die because it just does not go away. No matter. Omar says, I watched you guys an hour ago. Yeah, exactly. Again, I have no clue what happened, but it's just one of those things. I was saying to these guys, Johnny's showing up for this one. He doesn't go to the Wednesdays, and Silver was going to come today, but he ended up feeling ill, so he said that he was going to bow out, so he'll probably be on next week to tell us about sad games, was what I was saying. So now we're caught.
Full energy, full focus.
Now we are ready.
Let's do it.
Let's see. What's up, Big Mac? Eric, Omar. I appreciate all you guys popping in. Played by Ken. Jack. We are gonna talk about the GTA trailer for sure. Cristiano's what is that? Cristiano Souza? Is that right? For your
name?
Cristiano Souza. Yeah. Thank you very much for showing up. I absolutely appreciate it. Now, big question. Let's get it out of the way. Is Karak doing reviews anymore? No. This is it. Me announcing I'm done with reviews. Yes, of course. We've got some reviews coming, and I've been playing the games for 60 to 80 hours, which is my work week. So that's why you haven't seen a review from me since Mario. But there are reviews coming out. What have you guys been playing? Johnny, you can go first up. What have you been playing?
I've been playing Cyberpunk, revisiting it, checking out the new skill tree, experiencing it kind of in a fresh way after a long time since release. It's now a really fun game, dude. It's a banger game. I mean, I liked it already in release, but now it's a bit more arcadey. It feels more enjoyable for me. And I'm going to try out the DLC and stuff. I've also been playing some indies on my new Steam Deck. Dave the Diver, Ender Lilies, a side scroller, kind of like Souls-like, great atmosphere, right?
Yeah.
Banger music.
Anime girl, it's got all you need, dude. All you need.
Well, your words, not mine.
And my words too. I'm just joking.
And I also put Mankind Divided on the deck, and I've been playing that too. Excellent. Yeah, it runs pretty well on the deck too, which is great.
Yeah, Mankind Divided is a good game that people should play if they like Cyberpunk at all. Go ahead, Abzy.
Dude, I don't want to be that guy, Johnny, but trust me, bro. Trust me, you need them Cyberpunk mods, dude. Trust me, they make the game like 20,000 times better than it is. Trust me.
Give me your top like joking. One or two, top 1-2 mods
out of 200, bro.
Yeah, top 1 or 2. Yeah. What do you got?
Top 1 or 2. Okay. Okay. PED damage overhaul with I think it's a Euphoria mod which has like the locational damage stuff. And what would be my second? Can I group like a collection of mods? A collection of mods would be immersive bartenders, immersive food and drink, immersive Ripper docs, all that stuff, so you could actually see it happen in the game world. I'm gonna add one more, and like a stock market. And okay, that's it. But I swear to God, like all of them together, like, and I have to pay like insurance for my car if I hit someone or something. And I don't know, there's a lot of stuff that just make the whole world more immersive and less of a backdrop, more emergent.
Dude, I'm just stealing cars. Like, it wouldn't even make sense to pay insurance.
There's also one that makes the gangs like dynamic and like fight with each other in the world and stuff, and you'll see like Mad Max Fury Road shit where they're like chasing each other and fighting each other, and that one's like a cool overhaul mod as well. There's so many,
dude. I'm feeling like they added stuff. I'm just constantly finding stuff that I don't remember experiencing it originally. Like, of course, the police system now works.
Yeah.
You know, that type of thing, and the ability to just hijack cars. Am I just an idiot and I've forgotten? Could you always
there's been multiple
hijack
updates.
Cars?
There was a 2.1. Yeah,
cars.
there's 2.1 update, and then next week or here soon we're getting another update with Metro. They stated, I saw a list of stuff, and there's some.
When
good
I figured
ads
out, dude, like GTA, I could just hijack any cars that I found cool. That was.
Yeah, that was from release. You could hijack if you have enough strength or enough tech. Yeah.
Right.
It could be. Maybe you noticed it because you switched your character type this time, and you had some abilities you didn't have.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
True. That actually seems like that's probably what's gone on. Is that you had a different character at one time, you're playing a certain way, and it can very much feel like, oh, was this there? I've done that, man. I've gone back and played a game, and even Deus Ex. If I choose a different, path and how I'm doing stuff, and I'll be like, was this there?
And also the way I was playing first time was like, I have my car, I have my house, I have my routine. The whole emergent narrative thing. So I wasn't even stepping outside of like, what's my stuff. I wasn't really looking to steal or do that type of thing.
And when you guys see if you can find, I just tried to and I couldn't find it easily. There's a leak or a rumor or a list of what's included, and it includes the Metro. But when I looked it up, I didn't get. Google hasn't been working well for me. I
remember pretty much everything, but I don't have like a list handy.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the list so that people don't be like, "Oh, you missed something." There was somebody who had a list. For Cyberpunk this week, there was a list for the brand new the patch that comes out next week that includes Metro and some other stuff.
I did not expect at all. I did not.
No, in fact, this is where I want to go with the conversation. So while you guys are trying to find that, I did want to point out a couple people were not mad; they were frustrated a little bit that their playthrough, sort of their ultimate playthrough, was Phantom Liberty, and they were done. And then now we get this idea that there's going to be and they weren't like, oh man, we get more, this is terrible. It was more like, oh dude, like you guys said that was the thing, so they jumped into it. And they probably have a mod for Metro if you want, because I believe there's a Metro mod that's out there. But I do get sort of what they were saying, because they were under not an impression. I mean, developers should support their games. I think it's awesome, but I do get sort of the frustration of maybe jumping in and going, oh man, this is going to be my sort of 2.0 playthrough. This is going to be the thing I do, and maybe exhaust your energy a little bit.
It is a frustration, but I feel like it's a
good one to have, right?
It's a good one to have in the grand scheme of things. But I mean, like, it's like that's the least of the worry. Like, it's always a good thing. Like, this, what's happening is for sure a good thing, even with these frustrations. And also to that, I feel like a lot of the things they did add for the new update are more sandbox emergent stuff, which would be nice if you just felt like being in that world. One of the biggest issues of Cyberpunk for me was that the world was more of a backdrop, a very beautiful backdrop, but a backdrop nonetheless. There weren't a lot of sandbox elements in the game other than quest markers to go and kill stuff and do outputs and stuff. And so the things they're adding, it might be nice for people to just like revisit it, just to be in that world and not completely focus on like one, like just doing the narrative. And there is going to be some dissonance because of the whole structure of the narrative and how it works. And it's like, you're going to die in 2 weeks, so you got to do the thing. So, so it might be nice to like go back for a second or third playthrough just to like, forget about the main story and see what the world has in store with all the new updates and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what it does. Yeah, mods would. I mean, I don't see myself ever installing it again. But if like you get the Metro and all that stuff, then a year or two down the road, I could, maybe I want to. I was not to get into the weeds. I wasn't disappointed. I wasn't disappointed at all with Phantom Liberty. I actually liked it. I thought the updates were awesome, but I still could feel that it wasn't. It was like, this is such an improvement, but it's still nowhere near.
It eclipses the main game. Yeah.
No,
But
I
nowhere
mean,
near what?
I mean that when I played the whole game again to do Phantom Liberty or experience the game and then jumped into Phantom Liberty, even when I left, I was like, this still isn't at all what like was originally suggested. It's a huge improvement.
No.
But it's like
It's a huge improvement.
I still had that thing in my heart where I was like, damn, this is not. I still want more. Like I just want more. So
I think
they're working on a sequel, so that's great.
Yeah, I think I in general, to sum it up in like a sentence, is that I wanted more of a sandbox RPG, and this was more of like everything was around one narrative basically.
Yeah.
So there's just not much to
a good looking narrative
to do.
Right?
Yeah.
A good looking narrative. You're not
There's narrative.
Now it would be ridiculous to ever complain about it. Hush Al Ghul, $5 super chat. Playing Yakuza 0 got me thinking, is there a game mechanic to earn money in a game you would want to be in real life, beating up strangers for money, for instance? Dude, we've talked about this. If real life was as easy as games, I'd be a billionaire. Because I find like some trade route in Freelancer that takes like 2 seconds but makes me $100,000 each day.
Just
you know, and you're just like, oh, dude. So
and in games, I'm more frugal. I'm more frugal with my money in games.
Oh, you mean you're watchful almost?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like more.
Frugal means you don't spend it. Like you're
like I'm
holding on to it.
I don't need this. I'm not gonna buy this like low level armor. I'm gonna find anyway. So I just save until I literally money isn't even a mechanic anymore, and then it gets boring. You know what game did it really well? Did economy really well was Wasteland 3. I felt like with Wasteland 3, I was always like in a flow of gaining money and losing money and gaining money and buying stuff, and it never went away. I was never way too rich or too poor. It was very well done. Yeah,
man. We were talking before Abzi got in. Johnny and I were talking about Johnny's starting to work out prior to the podcast, so he has energy. And I run in the morning to do the same thing, and my lips are chapped, man. I just realized when Abzi was talking, I was like,
"Isn't that cold?" Like
yeah, my lips are getting
it was like 29 degrees when I went out there, and I was like, "Yeah, this is going to be." And my lips get chapped just because you breathe through them too when you're running, and then the air is hitting it. But this morning, I just realized I was like, "Why is it so painful?" Even smiling was hurting. With Cyberpunk, I think it's awesome to see, and I think that's a good frustration. It's like, I mean, if it only happens once or twice, it's like having sex and not finishing. You're like, I still had sex. So Cyberpunk is really, really awesome sex, and maybe there's the chance of, little sex later, which is this new patch. I'm excited for it. I think the Metro's I love fast travel stuff. I don't use it, but I love it to experience. I love that it exists in a world, even though I don't use it. I don't use Abzi and I talked about this on Wednesday. I don't use the wagons in Skyrim, but I love that they exist. I don't use, half of the stuff in Spider-Man, like the subway. Why would you ever use a subway in Spider-Man? But you can use those things.
And we kind of shit on RTX a lot, but I'm gonna just continue down that line where I think it's so not worth right now. For Cyberpunk, I turned that sucker on, and immediately I'm at 45 FPS.
Without frame gen, forget about it. Without frame gen, honestly.
Yeah. Instead, I can play the game at like almost 100 most of the time, and it looks incredible, right? The lighting.
I know, but when you can run it,
dude,
I love the path tracing there. Like it's
dude. What I notice most, Abzi, is the shadows, like the sun shadows. I definitely noticed that.
It's
with
better
RTX.
looking at nighttime. Like not RTX, sorry, with path tracing. I feel like you can see it more in the nighttime. But yeah, it's literally
you just wanna flex because you have a 49.
It's literally it. It's like if you can run it, it's worth it. But if you can't, it's not. But like it's even then, like it's just still such a minute kind of niche thing that I feel like doesn't have to be. Like I don't want to see art go away. Like we were talking, I think a couple podcasts ago, we were talking about stuff like baked lighting and raster and there's all these really, really cool tech that's coming out for global illumination and all that stuff, and that is just something else. You know what I mean? When it's not light in games, it's not meant to bounce like that, and I mean it is in a way, like where you want it to be hyper realistic, but what I'm trying to say is like everyone has their own art style going into a game, and I feel like It's just not that necessary. I guess what I'm trying to say is it's not like a core thing that should be like at the core of like a game's style, or hopefully not.
Yeah, next gen or whatever, 50, 90s or whatever they're called, and then whatever's coming from AMD will probably be able to do it, which will be cool. I think that we start to see how good it can look in racing games, which is always the premiere of technology. A racing game is almost always the premiere. Yeah. And I was seeing John from Digital Foundry was doing his comparison of GTA versus, Gran Turismo versus Forza. And some of the GT shots, of course, look cool, but some of the Forza shots, I was just like, Jesus, that does look, when everything's done right, it looks good. But I have noticed also that when it looks wrong, a programmer isn't touching it by hand, which means they can't fix the wrong parts. So when you're touching it by hand, you can go in and say, this part isn't lit right, let's fix this. But if everything's running through, let's say, ray tracing, there's this middle ground that starts to pop up where it's like, this is good enough. And we start to get those issues with games where one place looks amazing, like night. In a lot of games, night looks great. And then the daytime, you'll be playing Assassin's Creed. I think some Assassin's Creeds, not all, but some are known for that, where at nighttime they look awesome and there's like this really cool look, and then during day they just don't look as good. Look and hear what people say. Does ACG ever smile? I do. Whenever anybody has really bad luck, you will see me smile. Or whenever anybody sends me a Florida man.
When we mentioned Dragon's Dogma,
it'll
be like...
Dragon's Dogma 2. Yeah, we're going to talk about it again because I just can't stop talking about it. I do want to talk about the leaks and the weird stuff, so let's just jump into this
I didn't say what
I
was playing, by the way. Unless you want.
That's because I talked to you on Wednesday, so I was going with Johnny's. But if you've played anything different, feel free. Yeah, I just
there was just one thing I want to bring up, but I can bring it up later.
No, go for it.
What
was it?
It's a game called Quasimorph. It was brought to my attention by a YouTuber called Seth, who reviewed the game. It is a fucking game, dude. It's a hardcore extraction single player. It's kind of like Tarkov, but like 2D. Where it's top down and it's turn based, but not turn based in the sense where you take a turn, they take a turn. It's like, you shoot, that took like 2 turns, the enemy could move, or you move and that took a turn. So like on action, it's a turn. And basically it's you're in the future and it's like anarcho-capitalism, and you're like a group of mercenaries and you make these clones to go out on missions for you. And kind of like XCOM, you have your team and you assign classes to them and all that stuff. And it's like Tarkov, where you go into missions and everything you loot and you take and you extract with, you keep at home base. You expand your inventory, you use it for crafting, you use it to turn it in quests. And if you die, you lose everything. You lose the character. And it's funny because they go like, well, losing a character is nothing. They're just clones. Like, fuck them. You know what I mean? But you do level up each character and stuff like that. And it's pretty interesting. And there's like many different corps, and you can invest in them and side with them. And you just do missions, and you can go against other corps and do all that stuff. And it's like procedurally generated, so it has like a roguelike element to it. And it's very, very hardcore in the sense that, dude, you can get like infected and stuff to the point where you have to like amputate your own legs. And you can get crazy with it because, you need to eat.
Do you just like shimmy around after that? Like on your hands?
Yeah, I think so. I haven't amputated my leg or anything, so I haven't tried.
Could you please, and then get back to us next Wednesday?
Yeah.
That's a question I think is burning in my mind now. Anyway.
Not only that, Karak, so there is food in the game where there's like calories, and every step takes calories, and you want to replenish those calories. And obviously, if you're starving and you don't have food, you can amputate the enemies you kill and start eating them, become a cannibal. And what that does, and like other actions do, is it increases this thing called like a Quasimorph meter. And the more it's filled up, the more crazy shit happens. Like when enemies die now, they spawn a zombie, and then the higher it is, the more drastic the consequences are. And what's cool is that you can interact with these corps and like talk to these NPCs and like sell stuff. And if you're like really down bad, there's a certain corp that will buy limbs from you. And if you have nothing, you can just like cut off all your limbs and just sell it to the corp, and then let your limbs regenerate back in the ship for the clone that you used to do all that with. It's a very interesting game. There's a lot of Like you got to treat your wounds and all that shit. So it's pretty hardcore, but
Quasi-morph?
it's a very fun time. Quasi-morph, yes.
And how much
also
is it?
Still in early access.
Oh. How much is it?
But it's let me check. I think I bought it for like $20. But it has a lot of content. $20, yeah. It has a lot of content right now, and just the nature of it, the rinse and repeat, and a lot of trial and error. I feel like I can just get into it, play, and then when it comes out with more knowledge, play more. Like I see playing that game just like regularly when I wanna, kill myself.
That's such a great sales pitch.
2D games. That reminds me of I believe Flashpoint 2 came out and utterly failed. I believe Flashpoint 2 released. I didn't even get a PR statement or anything. So Flashpoint is a 2D, one of the best 2D games ever made. It's 2.5D, sort of like it used polygons back in the day, and it was like an Ori or whatever, where you're going side to side on a screen, but sci-fi, very hard sci-fi, as in not difficult but hard, like that deeper sci-fi. Where there's a dystopian feel to it, and I'm pretty sure I saw some reviews popping up for that, and it didn't review well. So the idea of another 2D game I might jump to instead of Flashback, but because I was thinking about getting that, but I saw the reviews.
It goes very, very deep, and I just love. I always love the feeling of risk versus reward to like gain items that you can use at base to like craft stuff and upgrade things, and I just love the idea of that, just continuously going on risky missions and stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
Karak,
so looking at Flashback too, man.
Flashback.
What did I
say? Initially, you said Flashpoint.
Oh, well, that would be another cool game. Flashback 2 is like at 60%, and it sucks because if you guys have Flashback was like one of the best games. I mean, it was phenomenal at the time.
Never heard of it. Yeah.
Really? Yeah, it's such a good game. I think I was thinking Operation Flashpoint because I've been doing Arma and stuff, but
yeah, it looks pretty good actually.
Flashpoint Flashback 1 is great. Flashback 2 unfortunately failed utterly, which just sucks, man. What is the name of the cannibalism game? That is
Quasimorph. Remember, you need something sharp to be able to amputate your own legs, so don't forget to pack a knife with you or something.
Remember, guys.
All right. So let's move on to the topic real quick, because I do want to talk about the weirdness that's happened the last 2 weeks. So Remnant 1 and 2, day before yesterday, or yesterday morning, I guess, maybe, right? Popped on Game Pass without any warning. No warning at all. Just showed up. Somebody leaked it, or didn't leak it. They found it, told a leaker who then leaked it. I tweeted about it. Then a little bit later, we got the announcement of what games were coming to Game Pass. But if you add in that, and you add in Beyond Good and Evil, which Abzi and I talked about Wednesday, which got announced or got released on accident, got to people, then they pulled it back, then they announced it. It feels to me like these guys, man, I don't know what they need to do. I think we talked about training last Wednesday, where Abzi and I were joking.
Was a mistake?
It was absolutely a mistake. The Discord or the Twitter for Remnant didn't even announce it. The Twitter for Remnant was dead for like 2.5 hours before anybody mentioned it. No, it was something happened. Some timer went wrong or something. It was weird. It was weird because to understand how big of a deal it is, Remnant 2 sold 4 million copies in like 3 weeks. It's a huge sell. I mean, it's a massive seller. So they would have crowed about it.
And many people bought it in the last Steam sale, by the way.
That too. Yeah, and so to see it pop up, I saw it on a like a leaker website. They were like, "Whoa, this just popped." Nobody said anything. Then people really ran with the ball, and then it was like 2 or 3 hours later when finally you started seeing Xbox people say, "Here's the Game Pass, here's the games on Game Pass." But it went live early, so it wasn't a leak in the way you would expect it with words. It went live on accident early, so the date was wrong or the timing was wrong. Hey. I should know about timing. I fucked up an embargo or two. So it's like maybe that's what happened in the back.
And they just went with it. They didn't pull it back. They were just like,
they didn't say anything. They said nothing.
And then now I saw like their Twitter today was like,
"Yep, here's our games. Far Cry 6." And
at least they stuck with it, bro. They were like, "Fuck it, dude. We did it. It's out there. We're just gonna keep it up there." Yeah.
Yeah, it was a very odd situation. It's just these last 2 weeks, I feel like it's been what we talked about last, we were talking about CPR, where you go to class to learn the basics again. I feel like everybody at these companies have to go back and learn the basics of like, what is a date? What is a time? When do you hit live on something? Like, what is going on in the background where you have an entire remake? Like,
I'm sure they have like scheduling stuff, right? Like, I'm sure they don't like click something and then it pops up there.
It's almost like a part of the team that was doing the Game Pass thing didn't talk to the other part of the team. Because they recently released a DLC, which you would think he would try to coordinate things so that you have the biggest, like pop. So you could say, boom, the DLC is out. It's now available on Game Pass, right? You kind of make a big thing out of it.
Yeah.
And instead, it was kind of like trickling things here and there.
What do you guys think in chat? Do you guys, we're not going to go with that it's on purpose, because anybody who understands PR knows these are disasters. They want to crow to get the point of PR. That's pretty normal. But do you guys also think maybe it's just because of the Game Awards and Game Pass is December and it's just all bad timing? I mean, because Ubisoft...
I think it's just I don't think there's like a...
I don't think it's a plan. Right. No, I don't think I mean, Ubisoft and Microsoft aren't on the phone saying you accidentally launched the bad version of Beyond Good. By the way, because it's not the final. It had issues and stuff. Yeah. So it's just such an odd thing.
Did you see all the Fallout 4 update scheduling stuff that they've done and leaked into Steam? And one of them was called New Vegas 2. And there was like a bunch of random weird shit. One of them for one day they accidentally had the name of the branch or something they were working on, and it was called New Vegas 2. But it might be just a code name. But
it might be a code name, but that's a bad code name, right? Even if you and I were working together and we knew that was wanted and we weren't doing it, I wouldn't be calling my project New Vegas 2.
New Vegas 2. Yeah,
Can
so
you
it might
imagine?
be something. Obsidian and Bethesda are together under the same management now.
So yeah, it's possible. I just feel like with the Game Awards, the PC Gamer Show, or Black Friday, the website gamer show.
People are scrambling. There's a lot of shit going on. People are doing their trailers and their slices of gameplay and all that stuff. And someone hit a button or something. And both those companies.
I do want to point out, I'm doing an interview here soon with a composer and a couple other people, and maybe one or two devs. Well, it won't. Maybe one will be an interview separate, but most will be on the podcast. But when I was asking, they were saying they're really stressed from 2023, getting their games out, DLC support, Steam, reviews, making sure they're on top of everything. Then you have the Game Awards. Then you have these other separate awards, Golden Joystick and all that. Then you have like the end of this year. Then you have to look at everybody else's schedule. And one of the developers was stating that they were looking at like Game Awards and to try to get an announcement, let's say at the Game Awards, how much money and time it costs to separate a trailer, get it into the Game Awards, there's a lot of stress, I think, for a lot of those guys. So yeah, they just made a mistake, multiple mistakes, because I have a feeling Microsoft would have liked to have announced Beyond Good and Evil and Ubisoft during the Game Awards. I'm just guessing, but if it were me, I think that's a pretty big deal.
Do you think Remnant is that early?
No, Beyond Good and Evil. Remnant is related to the Game Pass. That I'm sure they didn't want, but that was the same day, I think 3 hours or whatever. But yeah, just very odd, man. When you look at it, it's just a situation where you can tell people, we all say it's awesome and we love it, but
this is why AI should replace humans, man. AI wouldn't make that mistake.
For example, I was talking about Operation Flashpoint, and instead I really meant Flashback. And I think that it's pretty easy for developers when they're stressed to, make those mistakes with a date or a time. I got a embargo for a game I can't talk about, which is weird, but it's for a review I'm doing, and they changed their embargo at least 3 times. And they weren't by a large amount of time. It's just change here, change here, change here. So yeah, little stuff. But the reason I was giving you a look is because I don't know if AI wouldn't make that mistake, but they probably would. They probably would. What were you saying,
Dude,
John?
it might invent or hallucinate a game that doesn't exist.
That's exactly what was in my brain was, what if they hallucinate a time zone that doesn't exist? Yeah.
Too.
Flashbook, man. Right? They make their own. Yeah. Karak was talking about it in the podcast. It must be real.
I was going to bring up that there have been times where devs released the wrong executable on release day.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
You know, or like an older version or a prior version of the game and stuff like that. So, you know, a lot of these fuck ups, they can just be attributed to human error. Like someone fucked up, you know?
Yeah.
Someone had the task and they did it. They didn't do a good job.
Yeah. Let's see. Looking at some of these, sounds like at that point the game would have... Oh, that was a joke about the game Absy was talking about. Thought he was talking about Operation Flashpoint. I was, Kane. That was just my brain. IGN gave Flashback 2 a 2 for what it's worth. Whew. Wow.
Oof. Damn, a 2 from IGN is like...
Oh yeah, I saw that. I was like, what the hell? I haven't seen a 2 in that was that game? Damn.
Mega Zach, $20 Canadian super chat, which I believe is even more than well, maybe not anymore, than US.
No.
I'm not really active in Discord, but I love the podcast. Have a good weekend, lads. Thank you very much. You should be active in Discord, though. It's a great place. Nor with a knock 50 question. If you had a game that had something that restricted the player, like a train and Last Train, or This War of Mine, what would you choose? So if you had a game that had something that restricted a player, so I think I don't know what he means. Or This War of Mine. I think he means if there was a thing in the game, like a base restricts you from doing things at certain times, or maybe daytime is dangerous, like I Am Legend.
I'd love to be like a maiden in a fantasy or a medieval setting, like a woman, and like the world restricts me from doing anything other than like cooking and cleaning and stuff,
and
I
then
just
you
have
sneak
to, like,
out at night and do other shit.
Yeah, and I have to sneak out, but like I'm the real hero, not my husband. My husband's a pussy, but he's like a soldier, and then he'd go and he'd pretend to like kill monsters and stuff, but I'd be there hiding and stuff and like shooting darts or bows or arrows or whatever to like support him.
That would be awesome.
And like I kill everything, and then he gets all the reward for it, and then he's like the man, and I have to do whatever he tells me to, and I have to go back and like churn butter and shit.
This seems like a very triggering game for a lot of people.
I don't know if that'd be triggering. You could do that. I mean, it would be. Everything's, like there's something that's always going to trigger somebody, whether it be real or not. But I think you could actually do that, called like the hidden hero.
Yeah, because she'd be like,
call it hidden hero.
It'd make both sides happy, because for one side, like, it'd be like, the woman's cooking, cleaning. The other side would be like, oh my god, like she's the badass. She's like killing all the monsters. Her husband's a pussy. Yeah.
So restrictive stuff, that would be cool. I would also love a game where. So do you guys remember? Not Chronicles of Riddick, the third Riddick movie. Iria, I think. I can't remember its subtitle, but they had a planet where, as the sun went around, it burned the one side and not the other side of the planet. I think that would be pretty cool. You have to make like quick trips to the hot side, but then the cool side, maybe you have to take care of other survival elements. That would be very fun to see.
You know what's cool about that? I'm reading this book from Brandon Sanderson where there's a similar mechanic in the planet where the sun just burns where it's at. But what's cool is, there's this thing with shadows that they grow longer and longer as the sun goes down, right?
Right.
But there's kind of like a point where, so if the sun is going up, let's say, the shadows begin very long and then they like shorten.
Tighten up.
So it would be kind of a cool thing of like a dynamic shadow giving you the safe area.
Yeah, I think it would be. I think you could definitely do that. You could also do one with, let's say, a big moon that moves the water, the tides even more, even though technically that's not exactly true for how ours works. But it would be awesome to see those kind of things.
It's the bulge of the
there's other things that affect it that we, just because it's easier to explain it to a kid is one thing. It's actually like multiple things that affect it. But it's still, I think that would just be really exciting to see a world where you were restricted. Well, we've seen it in games, and Fallen Lords did the other world, right? The Umbra, or whatever it was called in that one. So they've already sort of got it. I think a Dark Souls game like that, or a survival game that was really difficult during certain times, very particular times was super difficult, would be fun.
Actually, dude, I love the way all the I don't know if you'd call it restrictions as much as like pressure on you, like a lot of pressure. I guess there are restrictions, but the way Atomic Heart did it really intrigued me. There's a lot of people that didn't like that aspect, but like it was very, very like it was like fuck you, you know what I mean? Like a camera sees you or whatever, and like robots are like chasing you to Kingdom Come, and you gotta run, hide, do whatever. If you have ammo, you gotta fight. Like it's so
very oppressive.
Yeah, very oppressive. That's the right word. It was very oppressive, and I love that shit. Yeah.
This is my favorite part of that. I like that game. Hush Al Ghul, $5 super chat. Australia rated Hellblade 2 South of Midnight and Clockwork Revolution. From your experience, how close is it to release? That was done for trailers at the Game Awards. Almost 100% for one of those. So what they do is they still have to get the trailer rated, whatever rating they want to do. For those. Yeah. And I saw Fargo's interview about Clockwork Revolution, and he certainly didn't make it sound like it was near. So
no,
I would assume what we're going to see is trailers. If those are, like, what if they shadow dropped Hellblade or something? Like, that would be phenomenal. They're like, oh yeah, Hellblade's coming. But I don't think that'll happen.
Yeah.
Jemmy 5404 says, you guys check out The Day Before. Going to be interesting to say the least. So what do we think about it? Is it real? Is it not real? Is it a thing?
It's a facade.
It's
just going to be like one of those. I feel like this is, my bones are telling me that it's going to be one of those, like in 2013 game that was like, there was like 1 million of them on Steam, and they were all DayZ clones, and a lot of them were just trash. And I feel like it's just, or it's going to be the best DayZ clone ever made, better than DayZ. Yeah,
I don't know, man. Some of the graphics with the cars and stuff looked really awesome in it. I got kind of excited.
But like, graphics aside,
for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that graphics help. We talked about it. Looks are a thing. But then you do get those companies where they find that perfect screenshot or find that perfect trailer that's cut in a perfect way.
The Instagram angle.
Yeah, the Instagram filter of trailers. Yeah, and then you start playing it and you're like, wow, you know what they did. And this happened big with the 360. And I know that Absy and I did a lot of 360. I can't remember if Johnny did, but with the 360, there was a number of games, as we joke, that were like the brown simulators. They all came out with a particular color, but they were all... There was a lot of these trailers that made it look like something, and then once you played it, they made it look like Gears, or they made it look like this, or they made it look like that. And then when you played it, you were like, yeah, it's, they cut that trailer in a particular way.
I feel like graphics on its own can never save a game for me, no matter how good it looks. If it's not fun, I'm just not gonna play it. No matter if it's a shit story with bad gameplay, graphics won't ever save it for me. Yeah. But I love good graphics at the same time. It's just not a thing that would like save something, save a game.
Yeah, graphics I don't think can ever save a terrible thing, but what they can do is make people overlook problems. So if the game is still got some fun stuff, but it's got a lot of bad stuff, if the graphics look good, you can catch yourself going, man, this is pretty. This is not fun.
Especially if the interaction with the graphic, like the animations work properly. And like it seems polished. Yeah, that you can overlook a lot of bad.
I mean, it's like when you were growing up. I mean, we all had this. I think everybody in chats had this, but you have like a friend who may be married to, she might be married to a dick, but you see him and you know why she is, he's like he's a good looking dude. And you're like, yeah, but he's a dick, but some things you look over, not all things, agreed. I mean, I think if you're looking over all things, then it's sort of just a screenshot simulator that you're taking.
Yeah.
Or that you're playing.
But it happens often too that, maybe the multiplayer aspect has a unique thing to it that people just love. Like we were talking about Lethal Company. Is it Lethal Company?
Lethal Company. Yeah, it's absolutely true. Where that game looks
it's kind of unique, or it has like something cool that's clearly
making like
clicking.
some 70s thing, right? Or like 80s TV or something.
It's doing something interesting, and people are not overlooking, but they are, coping with some of the roughness.
Yeah. I mean, when I played it, Johnny didn't even have a settings menu.
Dude, so it's just like rough. I've been watching a little bit. Yeah.
And you go in and you start playing, and I mean, this is one of the...
It just makes it funnier, though, It just makes it really funny. And when, like, there's, like, a stupid-looking spider, like, killing someone stupidly in front of you.
Yeah. What I had issues with
almost was... no animation.
Like... That kind of stuff I would be okay with. What I was talking about was the actual visual anomalies that you can normally turn off, like arboration stuff. And when you can't...
Oh, gotcha.
When you can't, or you can't turn off a screen effect that turns your screen red or something in a game, you're like, oh, man, I wish, vignette... where people want to turn that on or off. That's less bothersome to me. But Yeah, it was weird to go into a game and see no settings. I mean, maybe I missed it and there was, but I was looking for buttons going, I think I'm just playing this. Like, I don't think, and that was PC, which seems to be a pretty ballsy way to do it. Jay Reaper, $10 super chat. Might have missed it, but do you guys think Xbox is going to show? But what do you think Xbox is going to show from the Game of the Year Awards? Yeah, we'll talk about the Game of the Year Awards in just a second. It probably just won't be Xbox that shows new stuff. But we'll talk, I think a big question is, what would Nintendo and Sony show? Because I think I've even seen some people who are really pro-Sony questioning, like, what Sony's got. What are we going to see from Sony? And I have some guesses, by the way. Not guesses. I would even call them hopes. We'll just call them hopes. I have some hopes. Brandon Martin, $2 super chat. Did you see the new Mad Max trailer? Yeah, that thing was a CGI fest. Man, did you guys see that? The new movie? Damn.
Kind of like skimmed through it.
It's such a different look from the first one. It's just so flat.
Yeah.
So flat. But
I like the look of it, I admit, but I'm also really partial to that actress from the chess
King's
TV
Gambit,
show.
or Queen's Gambit?
Queen's Gambit.
Yeah.
King's Gambit would be a really bad chess.
It'd be a really bad chess
strategy, by the way.
It'd be the end. Yeah. Unless you wanted to get out of there to go to a movie.
Yeah, and it has Chris Hemsworth too, which I thought that he looked interesting in that too. I would be down. I like I like those movies. So
I like the good ones. North.
Well, okay, what's the bad one?
I
or you
really
think that's
did
the bad
not
one?
like Fury Road at all. That was one of the few movies I've walked out of. But
dude, everyone thinks I'm crazy.
For what?
You also didn't like Fury Road.
I didn't like Fury Road, but everyone was like sucking its dick, and I'm like, dude, it's meh. And then everyone, same with Dune. Those two movies, dude, I get chastised. I got like those, that gif with the knives around you, like your neck. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is, what I have noticed with this one is, so the original had a lot of real life locations they filmed in, and this one is a lot of blue screen. And it was interesting to note that blue screen still has not replaced real life yet, because it was instantly noticeable, which I think is, it's a conversation to have. It doesn't mean it'll be a bad movie, but it is a conversation to have, to where the human eye still can't be tricked by everything. You can be tricked by some stuff when it's partially in screen. You blue screen something out, but if it's all blue screened, probably gonna have an issue.
Yeah.
Norse, $20 super chat.
Chastising me, dude. Look at this.
I don't know. How well is Avatar gonna sell? Oh, Pandora. I don't know how well it's gonna sell, but I'll tell you, I've seen a lot of people opening up to this Avatar game from Ubisoft, and I think it's in a good release spot with not a bunch of other games. It looks good. People liked Horizon, and it's interesting, man. I've had a lot of people say, I don't like Avatar at all, but I'm actually interested in playing this game because it looks like it's a AC/Far Cry in a fantasy world, and I agree too.
You can fly around in a cool world. All right.
Yeah, maybe it's diminishing expectations because it's not Horizon, but Abzi and I talked about this. Horizon was a sequel, and so there were expectations met, but it's just like Spider-Man, where you're like, Spider-Man 1 knocked it out of the park, then Miles did, and Spider-Man 2 is more Spider-Man. This one, I think there's a little bit of freshness where people are like, what powers am I going to have? Can I merge?
It's also really hard to judge because there isn't a lot of hype for the game. You don't hear people talking about it at all. So you might say it's going to bomb. But we've seen the opposite too, where it's people hyping up a game and then it comes out.
Yeah.
And it's not that it flops, but it kind of comes and goes. Like Lords of the Fallen, kind of came and went. And the reception was pretty mixed.
Yeah. I think with this one, I guess what I was pointing out was that I was surprised I didn't see anybody say, because it's Ubisoft. So I'm just going to be honest, that's what I was expecting. And I didn't see anybody say this looks like crap or whatever. It was actually people saying, there was this, I don't know how to describe it, like a generalization of like, oh, but we had that with Mirage, right? Some of us loved it. So I didn't love it, but I liked it. Some really didn't like it. And then some, like Abzi, played a bunch of it and then were just done. It was, and I don't know if maybe that's where this is going to be, where a bunch of people get it, because Mirage sold apparently very well.
I can feel it being like a game where those traversal and like puzzles around the world do excite me, like what I've seen from the previews. But it's not going to be a game where I'm going to be like, oh, I'm going to play it to finish it. It's probably going to be like every other Ubisoft game I play, a game where I play, I have my fun, and I stop playing, and that's it. Because they usually their games get repetitive at a certain point where it's just like, okay, I'm just doing this for more hours. I'm just doing this for more hours, and then I just do it until I'm done having fun. Yeah, so I feel like that's where it's gonna hit.
Yeah, me too. It's gonna be exciting to see because it's also a different IP, and if they nail it with, let's say, I'm not saying Avatar because I don't love Avatar. I mean, I'll just be
who gives a fuck about Avatar?
Right. But let's say this works. Those guys would then have 3 fairly good games based on not their normal IPs: Blood Dragon, Primal, and this. And then I could see them saying Oblivion with Tom Cruise. That, like, why don't we explore that? Why don't we explore this other world? You know, their IPs where I'm like, dude, they might do a pretty good job if they sort of, you know, sat down on an IP that we don't see games for. Because games, like game stuff and movie stuff used to be a thing, and it was never a great thing. I'm just hoping
it was always bad.
It was always So I'm just excited to see. But Johnny's right, man. PR-wise, guys, man, I just ain't. Somebody needs. I don't know. Maybe it's buying ads right now is too expensive because of the Game Awards and stuff. But I don't see a lot going on with Avatar. You know, I see previews and stuff, but I don't see.
Yeah.
The push, I guess I would expect to see. So.
The thing I'm looking forward to the most from Ubisoft in general is the Star Wars game. It's the one I have the most hope
Outlaws.
for being like its own unique thing. Outlaw, yeah.
I absolutely agree with that. I think that Outlaws looks, from what I've seen, what I've heard from a couple devs who didn't work on that but have worked with those team, they say that they've got it pretty much well in hand.
I love that team too.
Yeah,
I love that team, man. Division 1 and 2, I don't just like. I love those games, and they're really fantastic.
Division 1 or 2 are fucking.
The level design continue. I'm doing the DLC right now. I'm almost done with it, and the level. It's always something new in these dungeons, man. Always something unique and interesting.
You're doing 2.
Division 2, Warlords of New York. I'm almost done with it, so I want to go back to Washington and try the new roguelike dungeon. Pretty excited.
What do you guys think in chat? Are you excited for Avatar? Yes, no. What have you seen? What have you not seen? Lawnman, $2 super chat. What do you guys think The Witcher 4 will come out? When do you guys think The Witcher 4 will come out?
2025.
2025? Witcher 4? Wait, what? The game?
No, not Witcher 4. Sorry, Witcher 1 remake.
Okay. He's talking about Witcher 4.
2027. 2026. 2026.
2026? I would...
2026.
Witcher 4... I will go with after that. No, we're not making a bet because I already saw people now wanting Absy and I to bet every damn thing. They're like, could you bet if the sun rises? But because we bet on, what did we bet on? GTA?
GTA,
yeah.
But it's a stupid bet on my part. I should have taken better odds.
Or a longer release period or something?
Because I didn't know delays was gonna. I thought it was just release date. But now that I found out that delays are a part of it.
Well, to me, release date is when it comes out. What did you think it was? You thought if they announced a delay, you wouldn't. Oh, that's weird.
Like I thought it was just like they show you release. They show you release date.
When they say it'll be coming out.
Yeah, when they. Yeah, that's where I thought it would be. But
dude,
but now there's delays involved.
Come on, that sounds like
that means it's never. Dude, if they announce a release date for like in my period of time, where that bet is not going to get resolved until that game is out or until we surpass that.
I know. Yeah. That's my plan to stay alive is hope. Okay. The desire. I'm going to be alive right up until that game comes out.
Con, dude.
Yeah. But back to Witcher 4 real quick. I think, 2028 minimum, if not longer. But that's just because I think they're going to want to worry about Cyberpunk's not cyberpunking us again. It's just me guessing.
Yeah.
So... and they switched, right? They switched technologies here only in the last only in the last 2 years.
Yeah, they still don't have a game on that. Witcher remake, I feel like is going to be the precursor. It's going to be the testing game. Yeah.
Such an odd title to remake because I don't remember. I'm going to be honest, man. I don't remember nothing about Witcher 1.
I played it recently, dude. It's
pretty janky, right?
Bro, That's an understatement. I was in my phase where I was playing a lot of boomer games and I was like enjoying jank and shit, like really weird shit. And I was enjoying it in the beginning. I was like, okay, this is a very, very ultra unique combat system that I'm kind of like, okay, I dig it. I dig the vibe. Until my first boss fight with a stupid fucking dog. The game is literally a hassle. It's like you're playing it and you're in pain. You're like, why am I doing this? Why am I continuing? And until I reached the point where it was like, oh, fuck you, you didn't do all the side quests, so you're just never gonna get through that point. And I stopped playing.
Yeah, I can see that. When I asked about Pandora, yes, no, won't play Pandora. Yes, a little bit. Excited for Pandora. Yes, I'm a bit excited. So it seems like I love the Avatar world. Can't wait to explore it myself in the game. That's still more positive. I'm just going to be honest, man. That's more positive than I expected an Avatar game to even get as a reception in the chat. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm down on Avatar. I don't think I am.
You should be. I mean, it's completely fair that you're down on Avatar. Like, no one should be up about Avatar. But yeah, no, seriously, the previews sold me on it.
So they've done some good jobs with showing. If you're going to push a game, give it a chance to succeed by telling people about it. You know? Like that. And
Ubisoft's number one thing is world building. Always, I feel like it's almost consistent that their world building is great. And for a game like that, with what I saw, like the stuff I saw, the level design within the open world itself, like the overworld and how you move between things, I feel like traversal is just going to be a blast, man. And it's really set itself apart from Far Cry, which is for the most part very flat. So
yeah, no, in fact, I'm going to ask them a question and then I want to talk about that. So everybody in chat, what's your favorite? If you don't like Ubisoft games, it's fine. But if you do like Ubisoft games, what's your favorite world in a Ubisoft game? It can be as far back as the very first. You are right, dude. Far Cry is even Primal. Primal had some climbs, some cliff faces. Far Cry 5 has some, but they are not. Even their most vertical spots aren't. They just don't have a Just Cause feel, obviously. I mean, that's sort of crazy. I don't think we could expect that. But even with their airplanes, or if you guys jumped in a helicopter in Far Cry 5 and you go to the height it can go, it feels like you're 50 feet off the ground. It's weird. It doesn't.
In what game, sorry?
Far Cry 5. The one in Montana. Any game with any of the Far Cry games with a helicopter, it just doesn't feel like you're up. It doesn't feel like the verticality is really there. So,
and they even had the climbing or the rappel.
I know. Yeah, they did.
To make you feel like you were climbing, but it was always like small stretches. No, it never felt high. You would rappel from like the highest point, and it still felt like it was a little hill.
Yeah. Do you guys?
You know what game had really great verticality was what the fuck? Gods and Monsters. I hate that other name. I just never say that.
Phoenix
Rising. Yeah.
Oh,
what's your guys' favorite Ubisoft game world? Like, it doesn't even have to be to play in it. It just means like maybe the best idea, even if it didn't pan
probably
out.
Division 1, New York. 100%. Yeah, best coolest world.
It was ridiculous how good that was, man. Or how good it is. I'm playing it. I don't know why I said how good it's written, but when it came out, it was just like,
Even Division 2 New York, I know there's no snow, but it's more contained than Washington. But there's so many ups and
downs.
Other way around.
And really Washington's
really
the
cool
second one.
Secrets and stuff. Yeah, it's very packed. It's really, dude, their level design, man. I'm telling you.
I liked London a lot.
I agree.
From Syndicate, as someone who lives in London, it was actually really well created.
Yeah. Did you feel the same way towards Legion, Johnny? Because Legion was London too. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. In Legion, I went to the street I used to live in, which is close to the London Eye, the big Ferris wheel, and the street was actually quite close to what it is.
Dude, that's cool. I never asked you about that.
Before. I went to my house. It's obviously different buildings. They didn't recreate the buildings, but that was awesome, man.
I would say for me, just world to explore, it probably is Division 1, but I will say Legion. Something about Legion there was something about Legion that I really liked. It had a lot of tech issues, but I really enjoyed. Watch Dogs 1 was also pretty cool.
Yeah.
When it comes to true worlds, Wildlands is also probably my favorite,
Legion
even
had
though
a
it's
really
not great
cool
as a game.
It had like a cool futuristic version
of London. Yeah.
Yeah, you know that show we watched with the VR, the blonde lady that puts on the VR glass. Peripheral.
Yeah.
They had a kind of a similar version of London, like the futuristic.
Yeah.
And
Theirs
they had the overlays.
Cleaner.
Yeah, it was cleaner. But they had like the overlays on the roads and stuff like that looked really cool.
Yeah.
It reminded me of it.
Hush Al Ghul, $2 super chat. What about Edge of Tomorrow after Avatar? Yeah, exactly. Edge of Tomorrow,
it's
Oblivion.
A good one.
Oh, it's a good one. Yeah, that's awesome. Also, like I said, the Matt Damon one, Elysium. They had a really cool version of Africa, I believe.
And the one you said from Tom Cruise,
Oblivion.
Oblivion.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are almost. They feel like pulled from a video game in a way.
Mm-hmm. They do. Looking here, a lot of people are saying Wildlands. So it's funny because Wildlands was so fun to explore, but until they patched it, it was Blandlands, as I said. It just didn't grab me in the gameplay. But once they patched it up, Wildlands world, tearing around in a Suburban with your friends and co-op is
But the world itself was cool. Like
yeah, Wildlands world was very cool. It's just
I remember going on a plane and just like passing like a big ass mountain into like an open kind of area,
like an open area.
Really cool feeling.
Yeah, it just looked good, and I didn't feel the same way about about Breakpoint. Breakpoint just did not. No matter where I went in Breakpoint, it all looked the same. It was a very
you know
odd
what killed me
sequel.
for Breakpoint was the motorcycle with the two guys standing right next to it.
Every 5 feet, dude.
Oh man,
you can't tell me somebody didn't do that too. Somebody copy pasted that. Yeah, that was like when I made an old level in Arma where you copy paste, like some building
the same
somewhere.
Like 3 guys or whatever. Yeah. It's like, oh, these guys here, these guys
and
here.
And even in my review, I joked and said whoever gave them the motorbike deal, man, they got out well because it's like every motorbike sucks. Like they're all broken down. It's the same 3 guys repairing them.
The car handling in those games was just completely garbage.
Yeah, it was pretty trash. Guthrie's Galaxy, $10 super chat. Pandora's going to sell just fine with the Avatar brand awareness that already exists. The release window is perfect, and it's right before Christmas. Ubisoft knows how to sell things. I would disagree. I would say not only does Ubisoft...
Do you not remember what they did in 2020?
Yeah.
Where they released like 3 of their own games back to back.
They released 3 of their own games back to back. I would say, in fact, any company that does not know how to sell their own games is Ubisoft. That's personally... Yeah. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying my experience with Ubisoft is almost not the exact opposite, but I've been let down by Ubisoft's release schedule. Legion came out right after something. We just talked about this.
Right after Immortals Phoenix. Immortals Phoenix, I think, came out first, and then Legion, and then Valhalla eclipsed.
And then Valhalla or something. Yeah, there was something about it that was like, my God,
no. Gods and Monsters was after Valhalla, I think.
Was it?
Something like that.
It was just how they put everything. They don't bring... Like, for example, Avatar's brand awareness is good in movies, but it's nothing in games. There is no brand awareness for games in Avatar. And what bothers me is they haven't actually captured that. They should capture it. But they haven't. And you're looking at it going like, dude, you guys really haven't done a great job at showing people about. I mean, dude, I just mentioned a couple days ago in Discord, people didn't even know it was coming out. And I'm talking about it all the time. So. But I see where you're coming from, but I would personally say that my experience with Ubisoft has been pretty much the opposite. Jay, this is Big Mac. He says, I'm sure Gods and Monsters was close to Christmas, December.
It was December.
Yeah. Dude, I really like that one. Inferno says, remember Mercenaries 2? We all do. We need to pour out a 40 for the Mercenaries
Mercenaries
series.
Was the one where you can call in like those massive artillery shits, right? And use them. Oh, man, that was fun as hell.
Yeah. Mercenaries 1 and 2 were 2 less so than 1, but they were phenomenal. They were really enjoyable titles. Really enjoyable. Moving on from there, let's look at what we got for news. So anyway, a lot of mistakes. Let's talk about the Game Awards. So, is there anything you guys expect 100% to be at this Game Awards?
I strongly believe I won't say 100%, I'll say 99%. I strongly believe that the Elden Ring DLC will either get a new release date or just a trailer.
Okay. And you think it'll be next year probably for the DLC, like first quarter?
I mean there's like a 10% hope feeling hope that they would shadow drop it, but they wouldn't. I think it'll be they'll show us a release date for February, and February the TLC will be dropped.
So the reason why I asked is because this morning, I think they asked the director of that game, and he stated Elden Ring Shadow of DLC is a little ways off, but progressing well. He had a Games Radar. Thing.
If it's a little ways off, I'd
that
expect
feels like longer
Q4.
Way. Yeah, right.
Q4.
So that's why I wanted to bring it up, because I agree with you originally until this morning when I saw that news article pop, and I was like, oh, does that mean? Because when they say progressing well, progressing doesn't even mean locked down. If you know what I mean.
Yeah. If they did, if it's in the last 3 months or whatever, they'd be like, we're in the polishing phase.
I feel like they would too, right?
Yeah.
They would be like sort of champion it, but that doesn't mean we won't see a trailer for it, which I
think we will. Yeah.
What about you guys in chat? What are you expecting to see? Just sort of drop into the Game Awards. Do you have anything, Johnny? Do you have anything? Not hopes, but like things that in your brain you're like, this would be really weird to not have a trailer for.
I thought that Final Fantasy Rebirth would be probably something that pops up. They've already shown the game, and I think it's advanced enough that they can put together.
I don't want to see more, man.
Cool trailer.
I don't want to see more of it.
Well, I feel you, but I think a lot of people will. Like it's kind of a big hype title for them.
It is for sure.
In a year that Sony doesn't have a ton of stuff, I think they might want to lean on some of these.
Oh, it's a good point.
What do you call like third-party games?
Yeah, and get some excitement around there.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about Death Stranding 2, but I just feel like, is that time?
It's been long enough.
Well, it's been long
Death Stranding 2 probably.
Yeah,
I think there was a leak
Xbox's
about
event too. They have, or Xbox's work with him. We haven't heard a single word about his work with Xbox, so it's like I would expect a Kojima thing. How about that? Because it's Jeff and Kojima. It's like the Jeff and Kojima show. You either expect him to come out or expect him to show something from him, if that makes sense. So I just feel like, what would they do with Death Stranding?
Oh yeah, they are
like
thick as thieves, right? Yeah. They're always showing up in pictures and.
Yeah, what do you guys think we'll see something from the dev who did No Way Out or A Way Out? The guy who did It Takes Two.
Guy? Yeah, I wonder what he's doing. Maybe
he announced he was working on another co-op game.
Another one?
He did, another one of
His
those.
games are fire, man. Always.
They are.
Even the first one that you had to control 2 people with a controller.
Yep.
It's fun as hell.
Was that Brothers?
Yeah, Tale of Two Brothers.
Oh, did he do that one? Did he do that one? Okay.
Yeah.
Big Mac says Foam Stars gameplay.
Bloodlines
Frostpunk
2, I hope.
Frostpunk 2 trailer will be there. I think the trailer already came out, though, didn't it? I thought we saw a trailer at the PC Game Awards.
Yeah, we did. For
Frostpunk.
For Frostpunk 2? No, they just talked about it, I think.
Oh, did
I don't remember. Did they show a trailer? Maybe.
I didn't watch that Game Awards. I saw people talking about it. Release date for Pragmata? Pragmate. I mean, Pragmate is what it...
I want to see more Thaumaturge, the Thaumaturge trailer.
Yeah, that would be cool, too. Why are you guys talking about Xbox like the P stuff is bad? P stuff.
What P?
I heard people are really happy about it.
PlayStation?
P stuff. I don't think so. Why are you guys talking about Xbox like the P stuff is bad? What's P stuff?
What's P stuff? Liza P?
Elaborate.
Liza P. No, we know Liza P. Dude, Liza P is a big surprise for this year. I think one of the good ones. Liza P.
It was a lot of, surprisingly, a lot of people's game of the year.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. I was going on to Twitter, and I was seeing people say, now recency bias, excitement for a surprise notwithstanding.
Sure.
But yeah, I agree.
It's just wild to me because I was very meh about it. I was like, this is the most meh thing I've played in a while. But people love it, man. People love it.
I'm excited to see it, man. I'm excited to see it because it's a side game, right? It's not one anybody expected.
For sure. Good for the devs, dude. It was extremely polished. Like really good for the devs, yeah. Everything
I didn't think about that. How sometimes we think a Game Pass is where maybe you would get something released and it wouldn't be as polished? Yeah. You get that on Game Pass, and then you get Lords of the Fallen, which was like
Dude, I expected Lies of P to feel like that. What's that one where you play as like an automaton?
Yeah, Steel Rising, or
I expected it to be like that jankiness Euro thing, but it was just super. It was like, it was very well done. Even though they did rip off a lot of like they ripped way more than I would have thought.
Yeah, they did. I mean, it was like straight up, just straight
up.
I mean, obviously they had different whatever.
They had some stuff. They have some new shit.
Yeah. Influenced by,
influence,
right?
Dude, you want to call it?
Oh
that?
Yeah.
Or like they say, an homage to
an homage,
spiritual successor.
Spiritual successor. Yeah, it was definitely.
From Software is dead now. We're just carrying the torch.
Right. And the cool thing about Lies of P, like I said, is Game Pass. Like somebody can jump in for whatever Game Pass costs now.
100%. I'm definitely gonna
play
it at some point. Maybe if I get into it. I just couldn't get into it at all.
Yeah, I had difficulty jumping into it as well, and I don't think I'll enjoy it. But it's obviously quality for those people who do like it.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and that to me is just awesome because again, it's Game Pass, which was surprising. I don't. There's not really a history of saying, oh, this will be more buggy, but it's like your brain thinks there's a chance, and that thing turned out great.
I don't know if this is like a bad thing to say, but I wish Lords of the Fallen was the Lies of P, like that polish, because that world interests me way more.
No, I agree.
And I hate that because the Lies of P environment does not interest me, man.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be cool to somehow? Well, you don't want to remove the success of Lies of P, but it is right where if of those two, Lies of P was more condensed, and if I had to choose one, Lords of the Fallen would have been great to see this like super polished, unique world, I mean, a lot of stuff in Lords of the Fallen was really good ideas. It's just
and some of it looks really polished. It's just that like overall as a package, it's not.
Just sort of falls apart, right? It's like no matter what you're experiencing, there's always that little bit of like, oh, I wish this didn't happen.
But that's, in fact, the biggest surprise for me this year is how much I liked Lies of P. That was the most fun I've had with a game this year.
That's crazy,
is weird
man.
to say.
That's mind-blowing.
That's
awesome.
Crazy.
We've had a year of bangers, right? Like Baldur's Gate, I had an amazing time. But I've never been, it's been honestly like a few years since I was that into a game. And very surprising since I didn't like the demo either. Like it took me a while to get into it, and then
everyone didn't like the demo but loved the game.
Here's the thing:
it's just great to see middle market doing so well. Like I love when AA does well.
And the honest truth to me is that I don't think there was much of a difference between the demo and the game. It's just that the game was everything, and you got to build and you got to do all the stuff, and the demo was a bad demo. I just think you can chalk it up and say, "I'm sorry, guys." You did a great job on the game, but your demo sucked balls. Like your demo obviously had issues, and you play the game. And a lot of people who didn't like the demo played the game and were like, "Whoa, they just picked a bad spot maybe for the demo." I don't know. What were you gonna say, Johnny? Did I interrupt you?
Just that they have a confirmed DLC coming out based on. So it's like a crossover with characters from The Wizard of Oz. Coming into the world of
Lies of P.
Lies of P.
$2 super chat, 6 Blades. He says Remnant 2 deserved more nominations. Nominations for what? For the Game Awards?
I mean, it got action. It was nominated for.
Did it get like multiplayer or something?
Yeah, it got those two, I think. Yeah,
I think that's pretty good for that game.
I mean, I think Remnant 2 is in all ways, shapes, or form better than the original, but first of all, I didn't think it made the time limit in my brain. For whatever reason, I was thinking it came in late or whatever. So that's cool that it got some, but action, shooter, you wouldn't do story. I don't think
I liked it better than Spider-Man 2. Like it could have replaced that as a GOTY nomination for sure.
Oh, for full game of the year for yeah, it's a pretty fun game. I
just liked what they it's just so well rounded with everything. Like everything was just like full ass, nothing was half ass. So, and
what do you guys think in chat? A game that got missed for the game of the year for a nomination or something like that? Were there any games that you sort of expected to be in the nominations. I admit I don't track it too much. I know Starfield didn't get any for Game of the Year, right? I think.
Yeah,
But it
that
probably
made sense
got
to me.
soundtrack, maybe. Yeah, I mean, it was
the
it was a
Game of
good
the
game,
Year
but-
one made sense to me, but did it get soundtrack? Because the soundtrack in that, the thing about a Starfield soundtrack is that it's like it's a legendary soundtrack, but it's not. You won't realize it. Like the normal, like it's just people won't realize it. Like they wouldn't be like, oh, look at Soken, Final Fantasy 16, crazy shit. But with Starfield, it's very in the background.
It's
But if you
vibe-ish,
listen
yeah.
closely and see what it's doing, dude, and oh man,
Yeah.
everything was just so perfect with that soundtrack. But it's not gonna be like especially against like something like obviously FF and like Baldur's Gate 3 with a very
Orchestral and big
orchestral
sounding.
thing.
Yeah.
And with Alan Wake 2 having literally like bands, creating music for the game, it's not gonna be it's not gonna be looked at as much.
The one thing here I'm seeing is a lot of people said Hogwarts. So, did
Interesting.
Hogwarts get any nominations?
Nothing. It got nothing. It was completely not mentioned, and I think it's because of controversy.
Yeah. Wait,
Yeah.
like that is I mean that is just the way these things are going to go, and it's
just so weird because the like the people that do have a problem with it is probably like 0.01% of the gaming and like industry, or like 0.001%. But they want to just steer clear of any of that because any of that is a chance at PR stuff, ads, commercial, like just they just don't want any issues whatsoever.
Yeah, and some of the people voting I know liked Hogwarts a ton. So, maybe they put in
from the voting board.
But I absolutely know some people are not going to want to fight that. They're not going to want to fight a larger group. There's so much, not terror, but there's a testing that goes, like you say this, you look at your Twitter, you see how people respond, you say this in your review, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then if you're getting a certain feedback, I know a lot of people get really like nervous about it. And they're just not, I mean, it's right now.
The
it's
power
just
of cancellation.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal for a lot of people. I mean, it's
God,
like,
I hate people.
Especially if it destroys, let's say, somebody's income because they like something, and then it turns out to just be like, oh, how dare it.
Opportunities.
Yeah. Love the games. $2 super chat says, do you guys think we'll ever get a Metal Gear Solid 6?
Probably not a good one, but probably not.
Yeah, I think I don't know, man. Metal Gear Solid.
I don't even want one from Konami without.
Right. Well, that's where. Yeah. Like, I was thinking, like, the rumors in the past were that Microsoft was looking at trying to get the IP, which would make sense. Embracer Group, somebody like that who back in the day. Not now.
Yeah.
But
Embracer Group. Embrace.
We're not going to go there today. We're not. We don't have any news, so I'm not going to mention Embracer Group today. Which I just did. Soulskeeper, $24 super chat. Grats, found my way to the patron. Thanks for the warm welcome. This weekend we are celebrating Sinterklaas in the Netherlands. Please Google that. A racist version of Santa Claus. Any weird celebrations from your own countries? Weird celebrations from Absy. Did we not just? I'm not saying you can't answer the question. I'm saying, did we not just talk on Wednesday about like Arbor Day or National Beanie Day? Am I going crazy? I thought you and I talked about weird.
That was like 5 podcasts ago.
But we did talk about it, right?
Yeah.
So like, there are some really weird ones here. There, ones where I'll wake up and find out there's a new, Kids Day or Nike Day, and you'll be like, why the fuck are we celebrating that? So Halloween,
like Mother's Day.
Mother's Day, yeah. I love Mother's Day, but I celebrate my mom all the time. She's awesome.
Dude, in Spain,
every day.
In Spain,
Exactly.
we have kings. Like in January, we celebrate the 3 kings, and it's like a whole week or something of holidays.
Really?
Of work.
And it's the 3 kings that in the past had like.
Yeah, I think it's like the Christian thing, the 3 kings. And it's
that 3 kings. Okay, gotcha.
It's a bigger thing even than like Christmas itself for many people.
I would
say
you
have Santa and all that, but
but that's a bigger one. It feels bigger. I would say for me, I always think Easter is weird. Like the idea of a random animal burying eggs in your backyard, and when you're a kid,
whole thing around it is pretty weird.
Dude, it's weird. It's like, let's color it. And I love it, by the way. Like Easter, I like celebrations. I'm a huge fan of celebrations. I say bring more of them in. You know, I want national bearded and beanie
Did your
wearing
parents hide
day.
like fucking
Hell,
chocolate eggs
yeah.
around the house?
Hide eggs?
Yeah.
Dude, man, we had a big backyard. So my dad, and we had moles.
Oh.
Do you know what moles are? They dig through the ground. And so
like the big rats.
He would have to go out and grab the mole traps because a kid might put their hand in the mole trap, which you'd lose some fingers. So he would go out there the weekend prior, and him and his friend, and they would go out. His friend was named Roger. He was up on the hill. They would go out and they would grab every mole trap and they'd pull them out, and then they'd wait a week, and then they would put all of the eggs out, and you would get eggs. Nobody ever lost their fingers. I just want to say it was awesome. Easter's weird. Do you have any where you are, Abzi? Or did you have any in Canada? Did they have like maple syrup day?
Dude, I don't know, but in Canada, they just celebrated way too much because like every 2 weeks I hear like fireworks going and I'm like, what the fuck is it this time?
Yeah. Right. Where at some point you're getting like, you're the guy saying like, you know, bah humbug, because you're like, come on, man. We don't need to have another
chill,
damn
dude.
celebration. Yeah, chill out, man. You know what? It's so funny because as you work more, here's what I believe. It's not true. I'm just saying, I feel like as you work more and you go through life experiences, there's a time where you start to look on those where they interrupt your schedule or pattern. And now you become the old man who's like, dude, would you just stop celebrating? We need work on Friday. Would you guys just show up? Oh, no, man, it's a T-shirt day. Somebody just said that yesterday there was one here in America and I wasn't even aware of. Did I already miss that? Yesterday was National Sandwich Day, Hush Al Ghul says. There you go. We're celebrating sandwiches. Everybody's a hero. Well, there's a hero sandwich, so it makes sense.
Stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very stupid.
Still not finished with your previous episode. A good backlog to have. Yes, it is. And I do want to say thank you to everybody who sent me their Spotifys to show how many hours you guys watched, which I just got to say, I wouldn't watch me that much. I wouldn't watch us that much. I saw some people post on Spotify that was like 16,000 minutes or whatever, and we were doing the math.
They should add every unwatched episode into their Steam library so that they can complain about having a massive backlog in their Steam library, and then watch our videos to complete the games in their Steam list.
Dude, we should offer platinums.
Oh no, dude! Ooh. Oh no, dude!
We need to offer platinums. Oh, no. I need to figure out a way to offer platinuming
YouTube videos.
Oh,
there's where you get the money,
dude. That's just killed my soul even thinking
Watch every
about
sponsor.
it.
Watch every ad.
Nah. We're done. We ain't talking about that.
Yeah, you like that?
Nope.
Delete
it. Delete it. We're not talking about. I hate that idea. It makes me sick to my stomach even thinking about mentioning a platinum. Yeah. So I will have the ACG Platinum next week. I'm just joking. We will not be doing that. Let's see. What else do we got? Very different cultures and holidays from where I'm from. I got my Spotify Wrapped. Yeah, again, thank you. Death Proof says, Abzi hates a lot of stuff. He's just hating what we talk about. I don't think he hates a lot of
nothing.
stuff.
You guys don't know me.
I don't hate nothing.
Up. You guys are stupid.
He does. I know. Exactly. There he goes. That's the best way to trigger Abzi. And your podcast was my most listened to podcast. Well, thank you very much. We had a good time. How would you guys buy Watch Dogs? Would you guys buy Watch Dogs Legion or Far Cry 6? Now, if anybody says Far Cry 6, you're off.
Legion.
Yeah, Legion. Right.
I didn't even like Legion as much as Karak. Karak loves it, but I don't hate, but Far Cry 6 is so boring, dude. It's just the same shit. I don't know. Nothing in it is. It's like Far Cry 6 is like the amalgamation of what's wrong with Ubisoft all in one game.
Do you hate it?
You're saying you hate it.
No, trying to get him to say he hates it.
I dislike it. Yeah.
He dislikes it strongly. You
dude,
dislike
okay,
it.
I love so many things, dude. Death Stranding is fucking amazing.
Here we go. I told you guys it was gonna trigger him to go the opposite way.
13 Sentinels. I love that game. Nier, Prey, fucking
going back
Witcher,
into his library, people.
Here we go.
Trepang 2.
Got on the wrong side of Division. I'm just saying.
2.
Just saying. Here we go. It's gonna be a list.
I hate terrible games, dude. Okay.
Abzi loves to hate, is what Oregon said. Oh, and we love it, is what Oregon was nice to add that at the end. Yeah, I will go so far as to say that I haven't hated a game in a long time, but I played some terrible ones. Golem's terrible, but I don't hate it. Hate's a pretty hard word, right?
I don't hate is a hard word. Yeah, the only game I hate is probably The Last of Us 2. Like other than that, because I like the game, because the game is good, but I hated it because I hated the story. Like it triggered that reaction from me.
Yeah.
But I don't hate like bad games. I just dislike them unless it's like they did something to piss me off so much, like patent something or like make like
WB
overboard on microtransactions or like ruined a game I loved or something, you know.
Hush Al Ghul, $2 super chat. Abzy, May 4th is Star Wars Day. Do you hate that? I think you like Star Wars.
Star Wars?
It is in America. No. I think it's Star Wars Day. I think it might be nationally
I just stopped caring about Star Wars after everything that came out of that IP was terrible every single time. So I was like, oh, whatever. Star Wars is no longer relevant
until Outlaws comes.
Yep.
See, that's the thing. You guys just got to track the hate, man.
There you go.
It's so funny too because I'm always known as the hate. Like when I really hate something, I just go wild. But that is one of the things I always try to explain is when I'm like dissing on a game, it almost never means I hate it. You know, like it just you know, like there's stuff that doesn't work. You hate that it didn't work out, but true hate is reserved for such a small, you know, a portion.
Yeah,
of
it's a very. It's a very active emotion when you think about it. And bad stuff just leaves you indifferent. It's like, remember that mid game? The middle?
A lot of them.
The
medium.
Oh,
the
no,
medium.
the medium.
I knew what you meant. Yeah, the medium.
Because
perfect name.
Bang on in the middle.
Wow.
You know, like it left no impression whatsoever.
Yeah. Is there any games in chat that you hate? Truly hate? Now, don't be... I need to know. Hang on. I need to know. In chat, I want to know games you hate and why you hate them. They cannot be games that you think are bad because that's a difference. But a game that you hate. Go ahead.
I hated Callisto Protocol.
There you go.
I need to timestamp that. I don't think I've ever heard you say you hate a game.
Yeah, you hate anything.
Yeah, I use it very sparingly.
Wow.
I think it's maybe the only game that I like rage quit and never came back to.
You, Johnny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Johnny.
Was it?
Could not get through it.
It had to have been everything then. Like
it was the what do you say? The drop on the camel's back? No, the thing that broke the camel's back.
The thing that broke the camel's back. Yeah.
Yeah. Was one segment in the game where you had to fight off many people in like close quarters, and their system is disastrous. Right, the moment you don't have a single person in front of you,
disastrous.
You have to like
disastrous. Yeah,
you have to like dodge to the side. It's so bad that it was for me like unplayable. It made me actively angry. Which is very rare.
I know what you mean when a game they require something or it's a major part and every other part of it that feeds into it is bad, and then you can get that hate. I just never expect. I mean, Callisto Protocol is not a game that I wouldn't expect some people to hate. So that's not a surprising game for you to say. I just haven't heard you say that before. What were you going to say, Abzy? Did I interrupt you?
No. I just wanted to balance the scales. There's something we didn't talk about though, because I said I hate The Last of Us 2. I am very happy to be proven wrong about the remastered. I think they shouldn't have called it a remaster because the remaster part of it doesn't matter. They should have called it like a director's cut or something, because it's really cool to see that they're adding all these new additions to the game, while also if you already own the game, you can pay $10 to like get those stuff. So it's essentially a DLC. What I thought initially was it was just a money grab and they want people to double dip and stuff like that. So I'm very, very happy to be proven wrong, and the more power to them. Yeah.
And I would also say it's weird because I don't know many games I hate, but I certainly can tell you something along the lines of monetization that's terrible in a game.
For sure.
You know, or you see a chance for something that fails, like an NFL game, where if you did it right and you didn't have a ton of monetization, it might be fun, but you get a career mode that you have to buy different color, for all of your shirts. Each one costs 200 mini crowns or whatever.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah, all these 20 currencies and shit.
Yeah, 20 currencies that they're doing. And that makes me, I'm actively mad about, where I'm like, dude, you guys had a chance here.
Yeah, that's like a different kind of mad to me. That's like oh shit, is this what we've come to? Like, oh my God, gaming will never be the same. Oh my God, all games suck. Oh my God, companies suck. Everything sucks. I'm gonna go kill myself. Like that's like that type of reaction where it's like, oh, this is literally modern. Like you see it and you're like, oh, this is a Zoomer game. Like, oh my God, there's this battle pass which unlocks all these different currencies. And that I hate that so much. Yeah, for sure.
It is funny, too, because there's been times where I've been wrong when I got a monetization in a game and I was worried about it. And then you jump in, you're like, oh, this isn't, it's not what I thought. So you get that, too. But yeah, when I jump into those, sometimes you're just like, here we go. And it's going to ruin my hobby.
Not
and
again.
Then you get, your hobby is, you're enjoying it. And you're like, this thing's going to ruin the hobby. Luckily, I think a lot of the times I've thought something was going to ruin it, like horse armor. What was that? Oblivion?
Horse armor.
Yeah.
And horse armor was considered, this is the end. And I have to say that luckily it's not. We still see bad examples, but luckily it's not. But I remember when that came out, looking at it going, we're fucked. Like, it's over. Because you're in your brain, you're like, everybody's going to take advantage. Luckily, developers are gamers too. So the developer says, that's not, we might do a monetization with DLC or something like that, but we're not going to do it this way. I don't know what this is. Kigaroos, he's a newer patron. He asked a question. I don't know if this was discussed or not. What's your guys' opinion on the coffin of Andy and Lev dev doxing and how people took a bad ending that was taken out of context to say the dev was promoting incest? You guys know who those people are?
What? Yeah. Wait, what was that paragraph? Wait. What was that
says,
sentence?
I don't know if this was discussed or not. What's your guys' opinion on the coffin of Andy and Lev dev doxing and how people took a bad ending that was taken out of context to say a dev was promoting incest? See, one thing I should point out to anybody watching is, one, I don't do drama, ever. And we even talk about it when we're alone talking about podcasts or whatever. There's times where I kibosh a topic because I'm like, this is just absolutely stupid. Like, I'm not going to get involved on either side. Yeah. It's just fucking dumb. I have no clue what the hell we're talking about.
All I know about it, by the way, is the developer got doxxed as a result of the situation, and they were forced to like just remove themselves from the internet and kind of like.
What was the situation?
Like that, I don't know, Abzi. There was some controversy in the game. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I will say that doxing, so far at least, I've never experienced a time where I believe in doxing.
No, it's not a good idea.
It's 100%.
Doxing and like sending death threats and shit, no matter how much they've wronged you, is never, never.
Yeah, doxing is like one of the dirtiest, grossest things that, like, it's disgusting. Yeah. Nor says, some games really arrive with a whimper. Last Train and Gangs of Sherwood. If you're a small dev or publisher, how would you get eyes on your product with the reduction in quiet periods of gaming? That is a good question.
It's a good question.
That is a good question. So the reduction in quiet times means it's harder. What would you guys do if you ran Gangs of Sherwood or the Last Train devs? What would you do to get?
Well, I think they are doing it. They are using streamers, and you were talking about, streamers getting paid to cover stuff.
Yeah.
That's 100% happening, right?
Like
right now
on their side.
Yeah, like right now I'm seeing some big streamers covering Gangs of Sherwood. For sure it's sponsored. Okay, cool. Like pretty likely, a lot of them.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the ways they combat the difficulty to get the word out.
Yeah. I mean, I would agree. I think that's right now, ignoring the money part for a second, whether it's streamed or whether it's sponsored or not, your best way, if you don't have a good amount of money to use a PR team. I mean, it's all influencers now in a weird way. Or a website, you'll have journalists being like, I'm a journalist, but they run a YouTube channel. It's like, well, now you're both. And if you have a YouTube channel and you have a website, technically at that point, you're pretty much a journalist. So there's this overarching stuff. IGN, for instance, is definitely a creator. Like, they are, they create videos. They are 100% the same as any YouTuber. And people who have a video or a website, I don't care how small they are now in some way, like, they are doing the journalist part, especially if they're doing news and if they're doing leaks and they're covering that kind of stuff. So all those guys should be held to a certain standard. They are not. That's life. But currently, if you remove all morals, I would say paying for streamers is your best bet, because streamers can be told they can't rate the game, and you can just have them stream the game, and people are pretty numb, I think, to seeing the word ad.
I don't know about you, but nowadays, I think it's more valuable to spend money on streamers covering your game instead
Then
of
a
the
commercial
traditional
or something.
commercial. Because it used to be that I would see game ads on buses. I would go, like the newest Ubisoft game, it's all over buses and, stops, public transport, all this type of stuff. And I've been seeing it less and less. And instead, it seems like we see just influencers.
Yeah.
Almost like the money's shifting in that direction.
No, I absolutely agree with that. The next up we got is some new Stalker info. So anybody in chat, if you haven't seen this, a new Stalker trailer, mini trailer sort of arrived with some data. And what we were talking about prior to the podcast, I think we're all assuming this, was that because we saw that, it means it won't see a delay. There was no real reason to show the Stalker trailer. And, it looked good on a facial feature standpoint. They showed barely any shooting in the Stalker trailer. But
it was a story trailer.
Yeah, it was a story trailer.
It was a story trailer.
It called it Strider, right?
The mocap looks so good. The facial animations look really good.
They do.
Oh my god! And the voice acting and the writing, dude. I'm, you play in Russian or English or whatever, but the English dub they have, or the English VA, very well executed with proper lip syncing, and the voice acting is really, really good, dude. I haven't seen a Stalker trailer with bad acting yet or bad writing, so I'm very hopeful. As opposed to like Bloodlines 2. So
yeah, Bloodlines 2. I haven't seen. They did some clan trailers, right?
Yeah, it sucks.
What is it? What sucks technology wise? They look rough.
Just like it just feels like all the edges gone, and just really boring protagonists, really boring characters.
Gotcha. Yeah, I haven't seen anything so far. I did have the audio off for the Stalker trailer. I haven't seen anything that's like super shocking from it. My expectations for Stalker, I think, are set. So I don't really have a desire to see more. I'm ready for it.
Yep, same. They revealed more info. There's this little blurb they said where they were asked about the main story length, and they said the player's in-game choices will determine how the story pans out, and the specific direction the narrative will take. Side objectives will also have different results based on the player's choices, and some will affect the main plot. However, it's not possible for players to experience all the stories, blah blah blah, in a single go. With that said, the main story alone will take roughly 40 hours of playtime and will offer up to 4 different endings. So that's pretty sweet, pretty tight. And yeah, I'm pretty excited because in a game like that, if it's actually 40 hours, that means the game is like actually much larger because of side stuff and the way AI life is. And with Stalker, the best thing to do is like the sandbox stuff and siding with factions and all that shit. And I'm excited to see what mods come out for it.
It was brought up.
Oh, they're using Lumen as well. Sorry, Lumen.
Have the Metro devs discussed what they're doing?
Not yet. I really hope. I want to see more because I loved Exodus. I want to see where they're going.
Yeah, Exodus was fine, man. Exodus was like really just good game overall, really enjoyable. Then they did the RTX version, really good version RTX. Metro was all the Metro games have been enjoyable. Like they've been enjoyable, but I think Exodus at times felt like Fallout 3. I don't know. Maybe it was just I don't know what it was, but there's something about it and I really liked it. I haven't heard anything from them.
I love with their Metro games just how they do how they make the different endings based on just like your actions, not like actual dialogue checks, but like just on what you do, like helping slaves out or like getting karma in a certain way. I love that type of stuff too.
Yeah, I think Metro, especially Last Light, right? Was that one? Last Light was the name of one.
Was the second one.
I think they did a good job with Metro of saying, like, we're going to get away from Stalker, not do open world. We're going to, like, contain it down to our own thing for 2 games, at least 2, with some DLC, I think. And then Exodus was, like, their Outer Worlds versus Skyrim. Yeah. To me, that's the way I felt. I was like, this is sort of baby Outer Worlds, their version of whatever, and Stalker's doing their thing. And then now we'll see Exodus 2. Maybe. See, Exodus, if you understand the word Exodus, it actually makes a lot of sense in the game's name and what was occurring and why you were trying to leave. So I don't know if it'll be called Exodus 2, but I'll call it
No.
now.
I think it'll be on like 2033, Last Light, Exodus, and something else probably.
Yeah, I think it'll probably be its own name, but I'm excited for it, man. I want to see Metro. I mean, I'm excited for Stalker, but like I said, I'm sort of done. I think I know what Stalker is, so it's like I just want to play it, and I hope that all those guys in the war-torn areas, are safe first. And so if that requires a delay because things turn bad, I get it. That's why I know I've even had people be like, why don't you cover these in like future games? And I'm like, because you don't know how far to be, it could be, something bad could happen. It could be even farther out. It's like, I'm just letting them work on it. In light of Capcom confirming the obvious, more Resident Evil remakes, which Capcom survival horror game would you like to see most? Unironically, a Resident Evil 1 remake would be my number one. It's the Soul's Keeper.
Obviously Code Veronica, right?
Code Veronica.
The one they're never going to do. Yeah.
I don't think there's a rumor that they are, and there was some hints that they are, but until it's announced, Absy, fuck you. I'm not believing it.
Forgotten Child, man.
It is. It's the Batman Origins of Resident Evil games. It's just, they don't even, dude, they pretend it doesn't exist. And it's one of the greatest. Yeah. Do you guys have any others? Would you Dino Crisis maybe?
Yeah, Dino Crisis. I grew up with that. That was a really good one.
Yeah, that would be a good one. I love
one a lot.
Did you like one? I
love one.
You, the master of unlocking. The writing so bad in that game, dude.
The writing is terrible. Well, the writing is terrible in every Resi game. To be,
that's true. I just sort of outed myself. I guess it is
very,
right.
Very bad.
Yeah.
Everything is very bad. But the gameplay, like true. I think that's Capcom in general, man. Even Devil May Cry has awesome story and shit. The writing and voice acting, it's like whatever. Even Dragon's Dogma.
That's what
you know what I mean. But their gameplay is always just Capcom does good. Capcom does good.
That is a really good point, though. That I like Dragon's Dogma a lot, but I would never in a billion years be like, well, writing in Dragon's Dogma is good.
A Monster Hunter, like imagine a Monster Hunter story. Like what?
Right now,
I agree
by the
with
way,
you,
Absy, somebody's writing a fandom on Monster Hunter, so we're sitting here going like nobody cares about the lore.
Yeah.
Actually, the reason we have to kill the monsters is to equilibrate the ecosystem. Okay.
And covering all that. I mean, I'm sure there's somebody, but I don't think
isn't
there's a
the story
game.
in Dragon's Dogma good? Isn't that part of why you guys like the game?
It's not part of why I like the game. I think it's serviceable. I just don't think like there's a so low on the priority of why the game is good. Like very low on
it was mostly like gameplay based.
It was mostly no,
and even quest based. Like I would say they had good quest design, and like I like how I can interact with NPCs and do stuff for them and shit.
Okay.
But the writing itself, like, there was nothing, there was nothing.
Even the writing for the quests, it was funny because the actions you might do to fulfill a quest would be good, but the writing for the quest to get you there, you'd be like,
like the content is good, the context
is it like
bad.
Your standard fair fantasy?
Like you said, the content is good, the context is bad in almost all ways in that game. Yeah, in almost all ways. That's exactly right.
It doesn't stand out as like something unique. It's more like
it's not like Witcher
fantasy.
Quest where you can be like, remember the Bloody Baron quest? Like you're never gonna say that about. Maybe you'll say like, oh, I remember my experience going through the cave with my pawns, but you wouldn't say like, oh, remember the dude
fighting that whatever.
Like going on the back of a dragon and it's flying away or something. It's all about that.
I think with Dragon's Dogma there were a couple times where they do a little of the mystery, not the way I like it, which is like grab a book and read it, like Dark Souls or something. You're like, whatever.
Read a description.
Yeah, in Dragon's Dogma, they did have a couple, like historical things you read that made the world, like when you got to a castle or whatever, you're like, oh, that's a castle that I read about, or that's a castle somebody was talking about. But if you play
like
Dragon's
you
Dogma,
knew something that took place there.
Yeah, and if you play Dragon's Dogma, it's very easy, Johnny, to not hear anybody talking for a good deal of time, even in the city. It's got like 8 people in the fucking city. It's definitely Skyrim style, where it's like 8 people run the entire economy in the city, and they don't talk a lot of times.
One vendor.
One vendor. Yeah, one guy, one prostitute. You're just like, this is some dirty money, man.
Damn.
But it's I love it, but it is absolutely right that the context is pretty mediocre at best. And that's why things didn't make sense. Even the romance. I remember slipping into the romance option like 10 times in that game without even knowing why. I didn't even know how I got into I was like, what is going on? Why do they, and you had to sort of track it back to a
out of nowhere.
And then you got like Resident Evil where they do this like Japanese shit where it's like, oh no, but then he's the bad guy, but then he uses the T virus, but then that bad guy he discovered the G virus, which then he used for ultimate destruction. Oh, then the third bad guy used it for.
It's the anime plot twist. Like
it's all the anime shit. Yeah. The only part of Resident Evil that I actually found interesting. First of all, Resident Evil 7 had amazing characterization with that family.
Yeah, totally different
They
style.
just pulled it off so well, And Resident Evil 8, I think the acting and writing was terrible still, but what's really cool was how they tied it back to like the original Resident Evils and stuff.
Yeah.
There's like a part at the end which was like, oh, that's awesome, and the ending of it was really, really cool. That's like the only two memorable Resident Evil things, and obviously punching rocks in 5, so you got that.
I think 5 had some questionable stuff. I do think that overall the Resident Evil games have gotten better because Village was better, at least to story-wise, and less convoluted than the prior ones, but not very good. But I did think the House one, whatever, 7. Does 7 have a subtitle?
Good character writing, man.
Yeah. That's
Biohazard.
Which is like saying Biohazard, Biohazard. That's the name. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, Dragon's Dogma. It's it's weird. That was that.
It's like
the
Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Cool. Right. Yeah. Or what were you saying, Gaiden or something? Is that what you're talking about? Where it was like Gaiden?
No, because 7 is called Yakuza Like a Dragon, but all the Yakuzas are called Like a Dragon in Japanese.
What it was. That's what it was.
It's like Resident Evil Biohazard. Yeah.
Oh. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I was confused about that.
Yeah.
Lansby says, I dare you to just announce the GTA trailer and then leave it on the floor until the Wednesday podcast. Oh, you mean pretend like we saw it? I'm not going to do that. SP3CU says, we did talk about the smell of mana in card tabletop dungeons. He means sweat. So let's hit it from the more positive side. What's your favorite smell or fragrance?
Japanese cheesecakes.
Oh.
Being made.
Instant.
That's an oddly specific. Yeah,
that's instant.
So nice.
That was
amazing
really.
Smell.
Japanese cheesecakes.
Yes, so good. Oh, they're like fluffy and nice, and they don't even. They're not like normal cheesecakes. Like they have nothing to do with. But like that's so good.
That's an interest. Like I would never. I don't even know what it smells. I would have to like go and buy one. They probably wouldn't be very good here. They'd probably be like a ripoff. Just a cheesecake, and they call it Japanese.
There was a place in Toronto called I think it's Uncle Tetsu's or something. And every single time you go there, it's like one small shop and like just 100 people on the road waiting to grab their
their cheesecake. That's awesome.
Yes. So
what about you, Johnny? Do you have a smell that?
It's for me. It's like walking into a bakery and you have the smell of fresh bread, croissants or whatever. Yeah, all that stuff. Just like. Yeah, it's amazing.
Sure. Gasoline is good
mine's
too.
Gasoline.
I love gasoline. Yeah.
What'd you say? Oh, were you answering?
Dude,
mine's gas.
I was always
gas.
I
love gas smell. Dude.
It's ridiculous.
I was always ashamed of it because I thought it was kind of like a drug or something. So,
it's like smell.
As I remember as a kid pretending to not like it because I thought it was I wasn't supposed to. Maybe some people are out there smelling gas.
You'd get gas on your hand, and I would be talking to my mom 3 hours later, and she'd be like, quit smelling your finger, which sounds gross, but she'd be like, quit smelling your finger, because I'd be all, because gasoline is the most intoxicating back of your head smell.
I would want to, like when my dad was going out wherever, I would know that his gas was low. And I'd be like, let me go with you. I'll tag along.
Yeah, so you could
because I knew he was gonna go. Yeah, and I would ask to fill it up myself because I like.
Yeah, my parents would open the window for me to smell it. I had the same reaction with like Yoo-Hoo stick glue. I just sniff that shit.
Oh, you like that? I don't like that because I know that smell. But it is so funny that you think it's bad because it is dangerous. You see, you hear stories of people trying to, as a joke, siphon somebody's gas. They get it in their lungs. There's all kinds of pneumonias you can get and burn yourself. But, dude, like, it is, and I'm sure there's science behind it, but it was intoxicating. It's so far beyond the smell of anything else that when I do smell it, it's just like, oh my God, what is, it's obviously bad for you. It's right? Like,
anything that gets that kind of reaction is probably bad for you. Right?
That's why I understand where John, that's where John is coming from. Right? It's like getting cocaine, running it on your lips in the movies. You see those guys.
Let me smell some more.
Yeah. That's a good question. Who asked that? SP3CU. Good question, man. Ric Flair says, farewell DMC. In the year since its launch, the game has seen 5 new maps. The lack of any future updates may be attributed to free-to-play nature, lacking the revenue. Do Do you think it might transition to paid game content, especially considering prolonged beta tag? Oh, yeah. So DMZ was listed as a beta the entire time. And so that people know the DMC, the Modern Warfare mode or whatever, got basically announced that it would no longer have support. See, I don't follow it that much. I'm always confused, like DMZ, Warzone. You know, there's all these free-to-play versions.
Zombies,
there's all these. I don't know if they do if they do any kind of paid transaction. I think they're just done. I think Activision, when they're done with something, they're done.
Is DMZ like the extraction type thing?
Yeah, it's like an extraction light. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people really liked it. Now, I was actually surprised that it got announced, because I didn't track it. It got announced. I looked it up. They were saying people were complaining that there wasn't any content. He's saying there were 5 maps. So it looks like a lot of fans don't think 5 maps is enough. So that's even an interesting thing to track. Is 5 maps enough? It seems like it is to me.
Sure.
Like, to me, if I think 5 maps shows support, but some people didn't find that it got its support. And then, yeah, it got removed from any future updates. But I think personally, I don't know of anything that they've pulled from the fire. If something goes to a, whatever that term is, you know, like maintenance for software development, when you put a database into maintenance, it's like that thing's done. Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't know if you would ever go back to it, which is too bad. Yeah, indefinitely means definitely can't. Yeah. That's why when I was growing up, dude, when I would see a trailer or an apology, a CDPR style apology, and they say indefinitely, my brain always goes canceled. That's, even though it's incorrect, it's not used the same way anymore. But to me, when somebody says indefinitely, you know, are we breaking up? We might get back together. You know, it's indefinitely on hold. You're like, forever.
There's a saying in Arabic where it's basically like God willingly, you know, or that, which basically means
which
no.
means
it's
never,
like maybe.
Right? It means no.
Yeah, which means never.
Yeah, or when you say someday, yeah, we'll do that someday.
Right.
When someone is like, hey, we should go bowling. Yeah, sure. Someday.
Dude.
Never.
We'll play it by ear.
Oh.
Yeah.
I lost all ability to bullshit. So whenever anybody and I'm around somebody in a group and they do say that, I will instantly, without thinking, go, okay, never. And I'll just walk off, because I know, I'm like, we're not going to do that. If you wanted to do that, you'd be calling me on my phone and tweeting me right then.
Yeah.
You know, you'd be.
Let's put a time to it.
Let's, you know, hey, maybe we'll catch up later. No, we won't. That boy Mikey, $2 super chat, sniffing a brand new game case. Ooh. A new game case. Do I have a new video game? I think I got shipped one from a game company here in the last like 6 months. I wonder if it still smells.
I don't know the smell. I used to have that, but lately the cases are so bland because nothing comes in it. You know, like
that's sad right there. It's just the outside.
There's just nothing.
So
sorry,
true.
I need to go away for 2-3 minutes. I'll be right back.
You know why? You know where he's going? To smell gasoline.
Oh yeah. Smell gasoline.
He's going to smell gasoline. That's what I'd do.
Yeah.
That new game smell. Facts. The ending scene. Oh, they're talking about something else. They bring up the same things. I work with databases all day, Doom Reaper says. He says.
I remember every time.
Oh, no, he doesn't say. Go ahead.
Every time I bought a new game as a kid, like a physical game, I don't like really buy physical games anymore. I'm at the CD-ROM and God knows. But when I did, like, I'd go back home and I'd always just have to pee prior. Like I can't like start playing without peeing first.
Yeah, you got to get everything ready, man. Got to clean the house. I feed the dogs. I make sure I peed. Make sure I've eaten, because I don't like
bodily
to eat.
reaction.
Yeah, it's a body reaction. Yeah. Because there is no mental plan. It's like it triggers peeing. You get it, you're like, gotta pee. You know. Yeah. And especially if you had friends over. Before my friends would come over, I make sure everything's done so that there isn't like oh, hang on, I got to do this. It's like, no, everything's taken care of beforehand. Silver Hawkins says Blizzard seems to be scoping out the potential for a high-priced DLC for Diablo 4. And this is asking players if they're okay with paying for Vessel of Hatred. Do you know what this DLC would be? Does anybody?
No idea, but apparently it's $100 DLC, which is crazy.
What? How did I not hear about this?
It got leaked or something that they had a survey for, like, would you be okay with $100 DLC? But obviously, like, if they did, like, dude, if the market responded, dude, if it's all on the users. If we see $100 DLC, it's all on the people. Because they apparently are doing a survey for it. I don't know, but imagine $100 DLC. Like, what the fuck is it gonna?
That's
just
exactly
like a new
the
game
question.
plus.
But it would have to be a new world plus. It would have to be a new everything.
Like $100 game doesn't exist.
Right. Exactly.
So I don't know if the leak was. I don't think maybe that someone added a 0 or something. I don't fucking know, dude. Like, I just what? What does that mean?
Dude, so I don't know if you've ever done this. We used to use SurveyMonkey. You do a survey of your workers and stuff.
Always, yeah.
So we were messing around. We did not messing around as in being inattentive, but we were messing around doing some surveys to find some data out, and we started getting the weirdest answers, man. Like the weirdest. It's just, people were mad. You could tell in your responses. Nobody was choosing a choice. They were choosing NA and then answering. And we looked it up and found out that the person had questioned it wrong and put like a 0, like you said. So it's like, would you be okay with a $10 DLC, but it said 100 kind of stuff, and everybody reacted really poorly to it. Diablo, as far as I know, people are loving it now. There's obviously issues, but I can't see why anybody why they would even ask. Do you think it's diminishing returns? They want to ask to set people up and then say, no, it's only 40. Right?
It's conspiracy.
Like, yeah. I don't know. It seems weird.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I'm bad
it just seems weird.
And then you do
since
good.
It's not official, like it could be another mistake. We've been seeing a lot of those.
Dude, we've seen a lot of mistakes
recently.
Yeah. And, I mean, that is the thing. I noticed a couple weeks ago, I was listening to a review for cutting for this podcast to do last time on or whatever. These are the games I've covered. And I made a mistake in one. And I was like, that's not a mistake I would normally make. It seems a little odd. And then I realized it was like, oh, there was like 6 games. There was it wasn't 2 podcasts at the time. There was 1 podcast. But it's like mistakes happen. But it seems like
oh my God, humans do make mistakes.
Yeah, humans do make mistakes. And I'm sure they go through the same thing I do, which is checking it 10 times. It's like they probably, you hope they check it 100 times. Psych Chicken says, I just learned the Stargate game is coming out next month. However, I was severely disappointed to find out it was an RTS game, as I do not like RTS games.
It's not RTS.
Hang on. I so desperately want a full-blown game in a style like Starfield. So what is it?
Oh, gotcha. It's like a commandos, like it's like what do they call those, like tactical
okay, right,
not turn-based like a CRPG, but like a tactical like stealth shit. Like usually those games have pause. I think so, right? Desperados had pause.
Yeah, right.
But it's those types of games. Yeah, not like a full-blown RTS, but I love those types of games, so I'm very excited. I just don't know how good it's gonna be because I don't know that company's track record or anything.
Either do I, but I will agree that when I see a certain IP and then it's not what I think, so like Pandora, if it was RTS, it would be 2 things against it. But because it's a third person, whatever, I'm like, all right, maybe we'll check it out. So I can see where he's coming from, where you're like, oh damn, I was hoping this was, I guess he's saying Starfield, which would be like, what, jumping through gates, third person / first person combat, exploring different planets, different gate worlds, but they're not a big enough dev for that, right? Like that seems like they're probably not.
Yeah, they're not. This is definitely not even middleware. I think it's just it's pretty indie. Yeah.
Toasty Tony, $10 super chat. Hello from the past. I got to go back and watch from the beginning. Love the podcast and reviews. Keep it up. Playing RE4 remake, loving it, and excited that they announced more remakes. Yeah, if Code Veronica gets announced, it's going to be the greatest thing ever. Cannot wait. Code Veronica.
Never.
Yeah, it's probably never. I don't actually even get excited for it because I think it won't. I'm going to leave Johnny's question because he's going to be coming back and my mouse stopped working. By the way, the wireless one, twice now, brand new, stops working. That's why I don't go wireless. Yeah,
dude, it's always Logitech.
Dude, it's why I have another mouse plugged in all the time, which is my old one. Here
I never do wireless. I've never bought a wireless mouse. Neither do I. This one we found in a box for Starfield stuff that I refused to open because I didn't want to be affected by the review. So we found it about 2 weeks ago, and I opened it up. There was a mouse. I was like, I'll use that. Anyway, happy about the remakes. Yeah, it'll be cool to see Code Veronica, Dino Crisis. What other ones? Is there anything Capcom's sitting on? Like an IP that I'm not aware of? That they haven't? Like older? DMC. We haven't seen a Devil May Cry since 5.
Was that 2.5 years ago? 3 years ago?
It was like 2019, right? Something like that. 2018, 2019.
Yeah.
Maybe 2020. No, 2019 for sure. I was still streaming. They're sitting on Dino Crisis. But like that's you know, do you still call it sitting on if it's like a super long ago game that just
Right.
came and went?
Yeah.
What else are they sitting on? Beautiful Joe, Onimusha, yeah, all those, dude. Capcom has
okay.
a
I just saw
really
your
good
answers.
track record.
Yeah, they do. They've got
Capcom is
Okami, Mega
Wow.
Man. Mega Man. We've seen stuff. I feel like Mega Man's had some remakes here. I could be wrong.
Turok is
got
also
released 2
Capcom?
days ago, though.
What?
Yeah, the Turok 3 remaster. Or
Oh,
remake,
it's a remaster.
yeah.
Oh, okay, whatever.
Strider. Holy crap! I think the last Strider was PlayStation 2.
Strider, dude, that game was fun as hell.
Bring back Dead Rising. Yeah, I would love to see. I would kill for a new Dead Rising. I'm just such a fan.
Yeah.
Power Stone would be awesome. Power Stone, dude. Did you ever play Power Stone on the Dreamcast?
I did not play Power Stone on the Dreamcast.
My God, Power Stone is amazing. You guys had Dreamcast, though, right? One of your friends?
Yeah, my cousin.
Yeah, Power Stone is awesome. I'd forgotten. See, Capcom's sitting on a lot of shit. This is why I asked.
Yeah, Capcom.
Somebody
dude,
said
has
Turok is not Capcom. Okay. Whoever said that, then
does
you're wrong.
Capcom make bad game? Like, what have they made bad games?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, right? They're that big. What, like, because there's a lot of just great games they've made. Just a lot of like classics. Just a lot of amazing shit.
I think if I remember right, we weren't streaming yet.
Sure.
As in, we weren't doing the podcast. But I do believe that when I had started the podcast and stuff, we were surprised at the quality of the remakes starting to come out because Capcom had some issues prior. And I can't remember the issues because it was a long time ago. But I remember, I think it was whatever the first of these remakes has started to do well was. And a lot of us were like, oh, wow, they're doing, like, they seem like they're sort of catching their second wind. It could have been more wrapped up about remakes being good, though, now that I think about it. Like, just remakes as a whole being good. Lost Planet. Man. Yeah, Lost Planet would be incredible. Man, they are sitting on a lot of stuff.
Lost Planet was Capcom? Dude, I loved Lost Planet as well.
I like Lost Planet 3 a lot, and I know a lot of people didn't, but
Yeah.
I actually thought all the Lost
3,
Planets were good.
I don't think I played. Have I played 3? Maybe. Is it the one where it's co-op and you can go into like massive mechs, robots? Or
You
no,
can
you
do
can
mechs.
do that.
I don't think it was co-op. But in 3,
Are you sure? Oh,
they
okay.
had that voice actor. I did an interview with him when I first started the channel. The voice actor for the William Stevens, I think is his name. Bill Stevens?
Shatner?
Yeah. No, Bill Stevens. That'd be amazing. Will Shatner. Has Will Shatner done a game?
I believe he has, or no, I got him mixed up with Mark Hamill a lot. Maybe he hasn't.
I don't think so. He has a voice
Maybe he
pack for
hasn't.
Elite Dangerous that I bought.
He does. That's what I'm thinking of.
That might
Yeah,
be what
voice
you're thinking
attack.
about. Right.
Yeah, that is. Yep.
So the pitch for says that he did see that 3 was co-op. I don't remember anything about 3 being co-op, but I probably played it by myself. I really enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Lost Planet 2 was co-op for sure. Yeah, the Lost Planet games, Darkstalkers was good. They are sitting on a lot of stuff. You back, Johnny?
I am back.
So let's go to your question then. Or what you said. You said revisiting 2077, which we did. Epilogue added in huge patches for BG3. So what exactly do they mean by epilogue? Like, do they mean
it's
for
like
every character?
6 months after the events of the end of the game. Kind of wrapping up the story, giving a bit more conclusion to everything. And you can access that if you load any save that's like, at the very last fight of the game or prior. So you would just like reload that and then it would trigger for you.
Gotcha. And they added 3,000 lines of dialogue or something. Wasn't that true? Like something like 3,000 lines of dialogue? I
didn't read that. I just read they have an insane amount of patches for technical problems and things like that.
Gotcha. Yeah, it'll never be turned on again for me, but I think that's really great. There's an epilogue. I could see, since I have save games there, jumping back in to maybe cover it for a podcast, but I don't really have any desire to play. I was very happy with my story. Very happy. I feel like I got my Baldur's Gate fix.
But, I was thinking about that. Why is it, do you think, that game you don't want to replay, but other games you've been happy to, like, I don't know, Mass Effect or, some of the Star Wars games in the past? What would be the...
Even when I was reviewing it, Johnny, and the early access proved this to me, is that no matter what choices I made, there was a lot of combats I knew I would enter regardless.
Yeah.
And while I like the combats, I picked a pretty diverse cast, so I got to see a lot of the classes. And the idea of going back into those same combats is completely not as enjoyable as, let's say, the RP element of it. I also, I locked down my story of Baldur's Gate, and I'm not a huge lover of their representation of the world of Baldur's Gate versus like the prior ones. I didn't mind it at all, but it didn't grab me as highly. So, but I feel like I got a good classic story, and that any other thing would just be choosing choices to choose them, and I don't want to do that. Instead, I walked away from it, and I'm really happy, and really happy. And the idea
I really
of
believe in
making
walking
it
away from games when you got you got a great outcome from it, and that's it. You don't need to milk it until it's
exactly. And I don't know about you guys, but I thought Baldur's Gate did a good job where you pick your class, you make your class, but you have this diverse character group, and half of them are classes you might have chosen anyway. So you're like, well, he's already with me, so I know the skills that class would have. So it's like, let's live through them. And they did a good job of making those guys interesting too. Well, not all of them, but they did a really good job with making most of them interesting. Who's your least favorite Baldur's Gate party member?
I think it's got to be Will. I didn't like Will. He was very self-righteous, and I don't know. I didn't click with him.
Did you have any you hated, Abzi, from Baldur's Gate?
Hated. Probably Gale was kind of boring to me, but he had an interesting thing going on. But
Yeah, he had an interesting thing, but he wasn't interesting. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know everyone loves Carla, and honestly, she's very likable. She's I like her, but I think she didn't have a. I mean, towards the end also she did, but from the beginning, like, she didn't have a very deep. So the reason why I like Lae'zel, like a lot of people dislike Lae'zel in the beginning, is because she has a very, very interesting character arc, and you can feel her character growth depending on your choices, of course, and you start gaining respect for her where you didn't have it before because she was just a bitch, right? But with Karlach, I didn't have that until the very end where stuff was happening. She was just like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's something to be said about like a character that you can rely on just having fun with, or like always like being fun to be around, right? But I was interested in other characters more. But I would say probably Gale. I mean, I still don't hate Gale, but he's probably the most, at least I liked out of all of them. Yeah, it's a hard one. Yeah, they all had very interesting stuff.
Yeah, I had even forgotten about Lazariel or whatever her name is. I killed her the first opportunity I got.
Yeah, if you don't grow with her, like you won't appreciate her at the end, because I hated the shit out of her in the beginning, and then she became my favorite character. So
we're like Goldilocks, because I hated her from start to finish. And Abzi hated her starting, then liked her, John. And then Johnny, that's fair. And then Johnny, and Johnny disliked her right from the start. That's one thing I was going to add about Baldur's Gate. Whether it's skill, whether it's on accident, whether it was completely whatever, most of their characters are not solid all the way through. And whether you can say that's on purpose or not, I think you can look at it and say that's pretty much something I felt through the entire thing, is nobody's good all the time. As in, nobody has an interesting story all the time. Nobody has a non-interesting story all the time. But personally, I felt like there was no one that I hated, but Gale was definitely, like we were talking about context and content. He had a really cool thing, but everything around him was just like, I just don't like talking to him, and he's like, stop hitting on me and shit. But no, honestly, the companion work, I've played a lot of CRPGs, and their companion work is some of the best and most unique I've seen. Usually when I get companions in other CRPGs, they have like a static kind of morality system, and with these characters, their morality was very dynamic, and it changed depending on stuff happening. And now it's not always like, oh, she liked that, because it's a good choice always, you know what I mean? Dr. Scotzi says ACG off topic. That's an awesome looking hoodie. Thank you very much. ACG played bugged Gale. Nope. Check that out after that. But I know that they were saying that they were all horny at the starting because of a bug, and I was sitting there going, like, they were pretty horny, right? Like everybody, I think, in Baldur's Gate, you can look at it and go, yeah, they're pretty horny. But it's so funny because what I really had a problem with was that there were people who were saying, "Oh, you just dislike this character because they're female," and it's such a tragic discussion because you're like, dude,
it's way more nuanced than that.
It's way more nuanced than that.
Way more nuanced.
It's so bothersome as a conversation. It makes me just want to punch somebody. It's here's a nuanced. Yeah. I think just that black and white thing where it's like, oh, you just dislike it because a girl. No, like there is some truth. Like there is some truth to, like, for example, sometimes people don't appreciate the extreme sides. Like if a girl, like, they can like a guy that who is too being a dipshit to other people. Sometimes if it was the same character but a woman, it comes off as like bitchy as a woman, and you might not like that. But that's more nuanced than like, oh, you just don't like her as a girl. Exactly.
Like there's something to be said. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And there's also, especially when you go and you experience them and you start playing with them, especially with like Gale, I didn't find his story ever interesting. I was like, he had some cool stuff, but his story is never interesting.
I liked his surrounding character though.
I liked. Yep. Oh, okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, there's no spoilers, but
for sure.
But it always becomes this thing. This happened recently when I was like, hey man, I love all the handhelds, and I made a small mention. It was, I admit, for me, this is the smallest, most lightweighted mention when I am not triggered by stupidity about the Steam Deck. And the Valve lovers came from the sky. Descended. How dare you speak ill of the great Gabe? And I was like,
Lord of the Rings music.
Dude, it was like one of those times where I'm like, you don't understand. If you can't handle a fact about something, that's in your own sheltered universe. Go crackle under that pressure somewhere. But don't bring it in here where we're talking about like the levels of something, the levels of a particular thing. And people shut it off because they're just so, I don't know if they don't have to deal with people in real life. No.
Yeah.
But, well, they could be. But I don't know what it is. But you get those kind of discussions. Sure. And I saw that with Baldur's Gate where somebody be like, oh, you don't like, what's the elf? What's his name? The awesome guy. Well, I liked him. Which vampire.
Oh, vampire. He was very interesting.
I loved him.
His story was very
interesting. And I saw people saying, oh, you only like him because he's a vampire. You only like him because of this. And it's like, dude, what are you talking about? There's the entire story.
And I really liked how they set it up as, it gave me like a Walking Dead kind of feeling where there's like stuff in your group that's happening, like in your camp, you don't always feel safe. Where he tried to, so that was very interesting, where it's like the game presented itself as not just like, oh, you're in camp and this is your team members and nothing can, you know what I mean? So they had like that sense of stuff can go wrong within that like little close circle or group or whatever.
It's likely people being reactionary because of personal decisions. Yeah, I mean, definitely it is one of those things where sort of an odd discussion, because I saw the developers even state that. One of the developers was like, oh, people don't like them just because of this. And I was like, Jesus, here we go, man. I mean, like, what are we talking about? I don't know. It's an odd thing, especially on this, where you have so many choices and your experiences may just be different. The writing may be different for the stuff. I think the best thing about Baldur's Gate that I felt was that they weren't equal all the time. And so therefore, even if you didn't like when their story part peaked up, it peaked up and you felt it, even to the point to where maybe it bothered you. And you're like, I don't want to deal with this person's story. I actually like that, because if you've ever been with friends and one of your friends comes over and starts telling you about the girl he's dating for the 40th time, they broke up 20 times, she cheated on him 15 times, and you're like, I don't want to hear your fucking story anymore. Like, your story, you were mired in that. I love that in Baldur's Gate, because there were some characters where like, I don't want to hear you bitch anymore. Go.
Yeah.
Or maybe you did. Maybe when they were bitching, you were like, this makes them interesting. And that, like I said, whether skill or accident, I'm sure a mixture of both. They did a really good job at Baldur's Gate. Like that was one of the best things.
They killed it.
Yeah, they killed it. Yeah, they just did.
Almost every character had the girlfriend moment where it's like, hey, I'm going through this shit and we need to deal with this right now. We need to stop what we're doing. And,
a game that didn't, Johnny?
Cool.
Starfield, man. There were times in Starfield where I was like, The characters were just, and by the way, I'm not comparing the two because I do not think they're the same type of game. I'm talking purely about side characters, so we could jump to like Dragon Age Inquisition.
Very one note.
But and they were like I told you guys when I woke up that one day, they didn't even show any kind of sex or hint at it. And the character was like, boy, that physical workout. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Anywhere you slept.
Anywhere you slept. And I was like, listen, I like that character. I thought she was actually, as a character model, I actually thought she was attractive and everything. I was like, oh, this is cool. And I loved her character. And she was, by the way, bitchy as hell. So this stupid line that, you just don't like a sassy, bitchy character. It's like, no, I actually love it. It's just, somehow how, how it comes together.
Thinking back to the companions from like Fallout 3 New Vegas, the Elder Scrolls and stuff, and the main, there were a lot of side characters that can be companions, which had really cool stuff going on. Obviously not like as big of a quest for them as the other four, but those four, they didn't give us one that like had evil morality or anything. Like everyone, and it was weird where the organization that you were all working for, the way Sarah presented herself was more of like a kind of like we're on our own path thing, which doesn't intersect with any good or bad, but they all ended up just being good, which was kind of a bummer for sure.
You wanted, are we talking Starfield?
Yeah.
So you
no one appreciates you pickpocketing or something. Nobody appreciated that, or appreciated like bad evil
judgment
moral.
Or evil, or what they consider to be bad judgment. Yeah, I got that.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Kasira says, in the spirit of the wager between ABSI and ACG, here we go. Regarding GTA 6 release, why not wager on when we can expect the new Mass Effect entry and when it will come out?
People want us to bet on everything.
Rumor points to it being years and years away. Yeah, dude, it's like we made one bet, and what did I say? Even in the podcast when it happened, I said this is going to turn into something like this will turn.
Oh God.
Oh man.
Yeah, Mass Effect's, I mean, probably going to be a long way out. Like, and who knows what it'll be. I mean, I got excited for Andromeda, and look how that turned out. So.
I just anything BioWare makes, I'm never excited for anything. I'm interested to see what happens with it, but I lost all hope of anything good coming out of that company. It's been a long time since they made anything worthwhile. So
I think that's the best thing, is that if it does turn out to be good, right? If it does. To me, it's just one more company with a library that might in the future continually succeed, and therefore I'm happy. And if it doesn't, I'm not going to sit there for 4 weeks and lament it. You know, it's like we might bitch about it on podcasts, but it's like not invading. And I've seen people in our Discord where they're like, I'm super disappointed. Well, you got it for a while, and it sort of changed how you played with Cyberpunk, where you were to whatever. And then it and you even said it made gaming better, because you were like, okay, I need to reconstruct how attached I am to things, or at least how attached I am to things early. And I think that is healthy, man. There are times where we see it in our Discord, in Twitter, obviously, and our friends, where they're so attached to something, you're like, dude, this is going to turn out bad, man. This is
I think
dangerous.
I stopped what worked for me.
I'm moving this dog out.
I still get super hyped for games, and I love getting hyped for games, and I will never stop getting hyped for games just for the chance of it being bad. Disappointment could be bad, but I just love the excitement and hype and seeing trailers and being like, oh my God, and like letting my mind run amok and like think about all the possibilities. And it's just an enjoyable time for me. That will never go away. But what went away was like being attached to companies or hating companies. I stopped. I just take every game as it comes. I like some companies and trust them, like Obsidian, for example, never had a bad game for me. But in general, I just don't. I stopped like really. If a company made a good game, they made Witcher 3, which was amazing, and then this, like, I just don't get attached to these companies or don't feel the need to like defend them or whatever. Yeah.
I think there's a difference between interest and investment. I become interested in games, but I'm not invested in that company's success. I'm not invested in their failure. I'm interested in what they're delivering. If I fucking worked for them, sure.
Yeah.
But it's like this asinine shit where you have somebody who's like defending it for 45 hours and they're talking about these things that happened 20 years ago. You're like, whatever, man.
Yeah.
Like that's the creepy sports team, kind of mentality where they're the one celebrating like they won the Super Bowl, and you're just like, dude, you didn't. You weren't out there kicking. Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool to see, I mean, people talking about Mass Effect and sort of, even though there's a worry about Andromeda, there's sort of still a hope. Dragon Age is the same way for me. I think Inquisition wasn't terrible. I just didn't love it as much. So I'm actually, I've got that, like a lot of interest, but a little, a little tentative. But I still think that they do a pretty good job. Speaking of that, we don't talk about much, but Outer Worlds, Outer Worlds 2. We haven't seen much on that.
Yeah.
Maybe at the game trailers.
Yeah, we haven't. We have not.
Avowed.
Yeah.
Right?
Avowed, man. Yeah. Oh, dude. I want to see more of the Living Lands.
Somebody just said Obsidian goated. Yeah. Dude, it would be awesome to see some Outer... Oh, sorry, I missed a super chat, but it would be awesome to see some Outer World stuff. Hush Al Ghul, $2 super chat. Which comes first, Mass Effect or KOTOR? KOTOR. Oh, you mean KOTOR remake? Oh, Christ.
Oh, oof. You want to open up that can of worms?
Talking about years, I would say, man, remake's easier to make, because you have a blueprint or whatever.
Yeah, and it's probably easier to trust or easier to kind of hope to be good because because the original game was good already. So how much can they fuck it up, really?
Yeah, how much can they fuck it up? That's a sad statement when you're like, how much could they? Soulskeeper, $5 super chat. Let's not forget Capcom Zelda, which is Oracle of Seasons and Minish Cap. Let's not forget the Capcom Zeldas. Minish
Cap. Yeah.
And then Pitchfork says Karak was right. Lost Planet 3, no co-op, had PvP. That's what I thought, but you know what? I'm totally okay with assuming that I'm just wrong because I played a lot of games, but cool to be right once in a while.
Self-esteem.
I do, man. I do. I've just been treated poorly.
Poor baby.
I think Outer Worlds would be great if they take the idea, make the planets a little bit bigger. And I don't know if you guys remember, there's one planet where you can land in one or two places, the more dangerous spot, but I can't remember. You have to get to a quest in a roundabout way. There was one landing pad, I believe, that was overrun by the aliens or vegetation or life forms. I would love to see them do more of that. More landing places would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think their towns were pretty awesome. What else would you guys want to see in an Outer Worlds? Okay, let's just go there. Would you guys want to see a co-op, or are you much more interested in?
No, I don't give a shit about co-op.
Yeah,
I would like to see it have better gameplay, just all around, just shooting wise and stuff. Make it feel more AAA, like and more locations for sure. I'd like to see more features and more of a, I'm not saying like completely connected universe or some shit like stupid, but maybe more expansive kind of exploration.
Yeah,
I love the quest centric. I still love it, and I love quest centric games. But I'd like to explore in that game for sure.
So almost like still hub, but bigger hubs. Right?
Bigger hubs.
Because I love the hub. Dude, I'm probably still a bigger fan of hub-based than open world.
Same.
They feel...
Dude, there are so few that make good use of, like what we have, Elden Ring and a few other, like there's not a lot of games. I mean,
Mass Effects did those, and Red Dead. Red Dead was more open world. Red Dead was open.
It was open world. I'm saying it's just one of the few that did open world, like had a reason.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right on that. Yeah, sorry. My apologies. Johnny, are there anything for Outer Worlds that you would want to see? Did you enjoy Outer Worlds 1?
I did. I did find the locations a bit small. Even the city,
Yeah.
It was kind of like
little tight, right? Like
it's tight.
Yeah.
You just had the two streets in it. So I would like to see bigger locations.
You did.
It was.
You did.
Yeah.
I just forgot that is sort of how
it's
set up.
Yeah, wasn't it?
9th and Main Street. Like
it was.
These two.
Yeah. Finally going to the big city, and it's like
and it's three streets.
Smaller than Kamurocho,
Yeah, that is true. That is a good way of putting it. Yeah, two streets. Yeah, cross street. Okay.
So that would be cool. And one thing that I've kind of been waiting to see in games, and that game had an AI in the ship. So I was thinking, what if, right? The AI was actually some type of chat GPT, but trained on game data.
Yeah.
So it would be game world. So in terms of, the backstory and stuff of the world and events, but also things like how to play the game. What if you could ask the AI, like, wait, how do I dodge this attack? You know, or like, how do I, and it's just trained on that data, so it can answer those questions, you know, because we're there. It just takes work to train a model on it. But
I think the thing about Outer Worlds that I would like to see, other than the bigger HUDs too, and I don't know if this is real or not, but I feel like you had this ship that was a big deal. You crush the owner, you get the ship, and you fly around, but you don't really have space battles. But I don't know if space battles works in Outer Worlds. I don't know, because remember KOTOR had the shit space battles? I don't know if you guys remember the black mark of memory that those ship battles had on humans. They were terrible. Like, you'd leap into a gunner, and it almost looked full FMV. It was terrible. It was just horrible shooting, and you would hit them, and they would just blow up in these fake little pixel explosion patterns. But would you guys want to see, like, Starfield style, you know, flying around an asteroid field shooting people, or are you actually happier with
Outer Worlds?
In Outer Worlds?
No. No, I like what Obsidian does, and they do it for a reason, and then that reason is to give us like a very good contained RPG with choices that affect stuff. Like the bigger your scope goes, it's going to be harder to do the cool stuff that Obsidian does.
Yeah.
Unless they pull a BG3 and do some crazy shit. But even BG3, I wouldn't call. See, here's the thing. Like, people compare BG3 and Starfield because they were released close to each other. But it's not. BG3 isn't a sandbox. Everything is really. It's around the story, right? It's not like a sandbox where it's like, oh, I can go into this world and like do something reoccurring. And for example, like, oh, I choose to hunt today, and I want to keep doing that, right? It's like a game you complete. So in a sandbox type game like Starfield, there is it's difficult to really make like a very, very contained, proper RPG with multiple choices and multiple, like, you know, what do you call it, where they split and all that stuff, and branching,
like
and Divergent and stuff. Yeah.
Game On says that's a good idea for anyone else's game, but Obsidian's writing is too good to pass anything over to AI. Yeah, I can see where somebody would think that. I'm not nearly as big of a fan of Obsidian's writing as I would say almost everybody. I feel like I'm one of the few. Yeah. Well, are you not? Or are you saying I'm not, and that's surprising?
That's surprising to me. I think the writing is really, really, really good.
I think it's really good, but especially I don't think it's the level of this fandom that seems like some kind of ghost waiting to pounce on you if you don't think KOTOR 2 is 1,000 times better than KOTOR 1. And which is what happens when it comes to Obsidian, and like when you start talking about it. Yeah, because
they tend to, like, people say they tend to take other companies' games and make them better and stuff, right?
Yeah, and I would not agree with that for sure. But like that, which I think that's the thing is, I think if Johnny's idea for AI was used, it would just have to be just the ship, because if you did it with
it would just be the ship. I'm not saying, you know.
But I think that Game On might be right in the idea of like that. You would have to figure out why that would add anything other than having just a voiced person help you with a menu.
Well, the idea is that you're actually interacting with an AI, so that you would be able to type stuff. So there's something about actually typing out things that's a much different experience than selecting like 2-3
but
options.
It's a console title, so it's like, how would you even type things? You know, can you imagine how tiring?
I wasn't thinking about that aspect. That's true. I was more like
the idea of a. You know, I like the idea of a spaceship that, like, or you could say, you know, we were talking about what's the other game? The space game. Not No Man's Sky. The other one. With the voice pack. For William Shatner.
Elite.
Yeah, we were talking about Elite, and in Elite you can say, hey, ship, explain to me what the constellation Orion is, and it'll do it.
Yeah.
And that's so awesome. So I could see loving that in, you know, on a Starfield, but I think that's, in a Outer Worlds, but I think Outer Worlds probably doesn't fit that. It would be odd to see. I also would love to see more NPCs in Outer Worlds 2. I feel, not NPCs, sorry, team members. There was something about the team members I really liked in Outer Worlds, but I also felt that they only had 1 or 2 quests, and then it was like, it sounds weird, but it was just like they're done, and now they're just on the team, and I want more into their lives, because some of those guys I really not Pavardi. What's her name?
It is Pavardi.
Or is it Pavardi? Yeah, Pavardi is just she's so awesome.
Like another thing to Baldur's Gate's credit was the companions were so involved in a lot of different parts of the story and had different reactions to like pretty much everything.
Yeah, it's very cool to see that Obsidian's got their own, I don't know what the term would be. It's always had its own vibe, but it's got its own fandom. Personally, myself, I also go back and like their games as well, but they've got their own sort of thing they're known for. And I see a lot of people hoping Avowed is Skyrim, and I am exactly anti that. I'm hoping Avowed is whatever Obsidian wants to do.
Yes,
and even
Avowed is not going to be Skyrim.
Exactly. I don't want it to be Skyrim.
No.
They're different beasts, man, and it's okay. That's what excites me, is playing Outer Worlds, then playing Starfield. To me, that's magic. Instead of that overlap where you're like, well, it does some of this, you know what I mean? Where it just feels Miles Morales Spider-Man-y, where it's two things that sort of overlap from each company. But
for sure.
Pavardi's probably one of my favorite NPCs not ever.
Yeah, she's awesome.
She's up there. Yeah, she's up there.
Yeah.
Maybe Starfield should have asked them to write the NPCs. I'm just joking. Anybody who likes that stuff, come on, calm down. We're all having fun. Let me look at the super chats. Next super chat is GemF5404, $2 super chat. Pavardi is my all-time fave companion. Or there we go. Wholesome. Yeah.
Wholesome.
There we go. That was the difference, Abzy. You just stated Starfield's characters are a little bit nobody's good, bad. But that's also the truth, is even when they're good, they're not wholesome like Pavardi was. Does that make sense?
Yeah, they're not.
They're
just 100%. They're just there. Yeah. They're like milquetoast a little bit.
Milquetoast.
I think Andreja was like the most interesting to me. She was a little bit milquetoast, but she had some more interesting quirks and personality stuff going on. Yeah.
I liked some of their little story plots. I wasn't a big fan of Sarah.
For sure.
I don't know why.
Yeah, no, I didn't like Sarah, but I love that voice actress. But I
initially I was liking her a lot, because I think you were referring to her as well about the character model. It looks great. You know, they did a great job with it.
No, I was referring to the one I called Alejandro last time, and Abzy almost killed me.
Oh my god, that made me laugh.
Andrea. Andrea.
Andreja.
Yeah. Both of them look great.
You know, Sarah's Y'shtola, right? From Final Fantasy 14.
No way. Really?
Yeah. Yep.
There we go.
Girl, mommy cat girl.
Best cat girl Y'shtola. All right.
Yeah, and that's why I was like more inclined to like be like, hey, you're you're Y'shtola
in
my head. But then she got too annoying.
Awesome. Alejandro. That's what we're. Yeah, it was so funny because I said it. I knew it was wrong, but I couldn't remember because her name's.
Amazing. But, it was a very genuine moment.
Yeah, genuine. Yeah, that's what we'll call it. But yeah, it was cool to see those kind of characters in there. But Sarah, you were saying that you sort of liked her first. Did it fall apart? Did you?
Yeah. Okay. As I got to know her more, it was kind of like, she is this type of milquetoast. Very.
Just so
not
annoying.
Not self-righteous, but kind of very judgmental as well. It's kind of difficult. The moment you did anything that was a bit grayish, she got like very difficult to discuss your point of view with her.
Dude, and it's so funny because no matter what, they'd be mad at you sometimes for no reason, and you're like, seriously, I have no
at
clue.
least one of them.
Yeah, but like Abzy said, nobody hated or nobody loved, let's say, lockpicking. But you can guarantee everybody hated it, right? Like there was, it just felt like it was steered a different way.
Yeah.
I still love the game. Yeah, in Starfield. Yeah, because
lockpicking was like the best part of the game.
No, you said nobody on your team loved it, as in when they were with you, they would get mad.
Like doing it like bad, in a bad way.
Like their reactions and stuff to it.
Yeah, they were always negative in that way. Rolkus does things. $5 super chat. ACG looks like he's having a conference. Abzy looks like he's moving house, and Johnny just looks like Johnny. Thank you very much. I don't know what that means, but I appreciate it.
All right.
And that is pretty much it. I do look like I'm having a conference because of that background that for a long time people thought was real. And I was like, listen, my background was my house, and it was that big. I would probably be driving Ferraris around because I don't know why, but this looks like a anybody who has like an office. Look at that.
Imagine having that floor space. Just like...
Dude, the VR you could do.
Yeah.
He's so good.
Oh.
Great Ape says, have you guys checked out The Last Train Home?
Oh yeah, I've seen it. It looks very, very interesting to me. I am just hesitant on getting it yet because I've been looking at reviews and seeing what people's issues are with, and I think that would bother me a little bit. But I love the premise of it. It's kind of like you go on tactical missions, kind of a little bit like Commandos, except apparently the tactical portion of it isn't that deep. It's very shallow apparently, or gets like shallow.
I see.
Apparently that's from the reviews. But you do that, but you also have like your base, which is a train that you know, there's like, I think, resource management, stuff like that. What I didn't like, what I wanted it to be is more of like an ongoing forever type thing. That's what I want in these games. But it's like, you know, you do a couple chapters and you're done. So yeah, I want games where like you keep upgrading your base forever until you die.
Right. You feel like there's some constant surprise when you come home.
For sure. Yeah. Well, which speaking about that, Against the Storm is coming out soon, and it's not totally like that, or Amongst the Storm or something. It's coming out on Game Pass, and it's 1.0 release, and that game is really, really sick. It's like a roguelike kind of, you go in and it's like RTS where you gotta like have food and proper supplies and stuff like that, kind of like a mini village builder in each instance, which all upgrade like a central thing. It's a really, really cool concept, and I think you guys should check it out and wishlist it because it's coming out soon. And I totally rep that game.
I saw that. I saw previews of The Last Train Home. There were a couple of people who wanted me to cover it, but it didn't. I don't know why.
Just didn't do anything for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's giving me Frostpunk vibes, which I did like.
Kind of. I love Frostpunk, and I'm excited for the second one. By the way, I realized there's a game we haven't heard about in so long, and it's more along the lines of those games. It's made by the people who made, you know,
Keep talking. I gotta
and,
get my dog.
Yeah, Frostpunk and what's the other one? This War of Mine and stuff. I think it's called the Adlers or something like that. And they showed us just like a group of people or like a family living in like a massive moving vehicle, and you have to like it's kind of like this War of Mine where you have to manage your people. And we haven't seen a single gameplay trailer, only that one teaser trailer.
Wait! You're talking about the big wheeled vehicle and the clones.
I want to see more.
It's clones. Yeah, it's not a family.
The clones, not family clones.
Yeah, I don't know. I know exactly what you're talking about because I want to see more on that game.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Johnny? Did I interrupt you? I apologize, bud.
No, I was just going to mention they are saying in the reviews of The Last Train that it is like this War of Mine mixed with Frostpunk.
Yeah, I just saw something that said that's what it tries to be, but that it didn't work out.
Yeah, it's not so deep apparently, and it's tactical. Like, I really like deep like Desperados and stuff. How they thought you when you play through like Desperados or like the Asian one or like the Commandos, you feel like everything is crafted so perfectly, where you can think of a solution yourself, you know, and try stuff that might work, and it's very, very tactical. And I love that shit.
What was the name of the one you were talking about right now? Sorry, because I didn't
remember the name. Yeah, I don't know the name.
Oh,
I'll find it for you. It's the same creators as Frostpunk and stuff. They make a lot of good games. They're making the Thaumaturge as well. The 11-bit studios. I saw their track record, and it's just ridiculous what they've made. And the game is called, drumroll please. It's called The Alters. They made The Invincible as well, and Frostpunk 2, and Frostpunk Children of Morta, which I love, Moonlighter, This War of Mine. Like, they've been all over the place, dude.
Okay, coming out in 2024. No date yet.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
And we haven't heard anything or seen anything. I haven't checked that one yet. Yeah. I see previous work. Moving on from there. Yeah. Flipcup says, I wanted Johnny's thoughts on Steam Deck OLED. I know he got his last week. Curious if he's enjoying it.
So, okay, it's my first experience with the Steam Deck. I love the comfort of it. It's much bigger than the Switch. So I don't get the cramping of fingers when I'm using it.
Absolutely.
Even if I'm lying on my back on the couch or my bed, I can use it for quite a while and not need any accessories or anything. It's pretty great. But what I would say, I'm still trying to get used to the trackpad.
Mhm.
Although I love the clickiness, like the thing that it does, the reactive,
Haptics.
the haptics when you move. I don't know what magic that is, but there's an awesome click to it as you're like circling on it. But the travel isn't that big. So if I'm trying to like rotate the camera with that,
Right.
usually I need to do like 2 swipes, you know?
Yeah.
To do like the full length
You
of
can
it,
probably
if that makes
adjust
sense.
it, but I could be wrong.
I can probably adjust it. That's just like the default. So I'm still trying to get used to that. But I would say the buttons feel pretty good. The joysticks, not as good as some other controllers that I use, like, the Elite or some other kind of more sturdy joysticks. But it feels great to play on that screen because it's a beautiful, crisp image, even though it is low res. On that screen, it looks really good. The games that I've been playing Dave the Diver and their Lilies, so some indie titles there. And then I'm also playing some Mankind Divided on it. And they all look fantastic and they run pretty well. So Ori and the Blind Forest also looks great on it. So it's been a great machine to play while taking a break from the computer. If I just want to lie down a little bit and play a game, it's been a really good option.
I feel like we're one step, maybe 1.5 from a battery that can actually do well. And that's what I'm so excited for. Just want to see, right? I just want to see them be like, this battery can play a game for, let's say, 5 or 6 hours would be stunning to me. Would be, especially because if you stream with Moonlight or whatever, you can easily get 12 on the G Deck or whatever. So it's like, obviously, those aren't comparable because I'm talking about if you go on a trip, which I just went on a trip with my handhelds, and I got a good amount of hours, but I was still at that point where I'm like, damn it, it would be great to have a little less of a worry when it gets to 20%.
I think it's sitting around close to my DualShock, not DualShock, sorry, DualSense, the PS5 one, where, it's in the vicinity of 4 hours, something like that, depending on how I'm using it and what I'm doing with it. But it is, sadly, it's short enough that it's always present in your mind that you're going to have to be charging after your gaming session, or, there's a good chance.
Yeah, one more try, I think, is what we really need. And, to get a battery, whatever technology they come, it's going to be so awesome because all of these, even the one I have with the biggest battery, even the G Deck, it's in your mind because let's say it's good on streaming. It's like, oh, this is good. So it's still on your mind, though. Even if you like the amount of battery, it's in your brain because it's such an issue. And it would be great to not have that be the issue. At least that's so prevalent because I don't know if you guys remember, but people were celebrating that it just went to 2.5 hours. And you're like, wow, we're celebrating that? Like, that's where we are? Like, that's how bad batteries are? That we're celebrating that of all things? Like, we're fucked. So double that minimum, if not more, is what I'm hoping for the next. And then, of course, the APUs will get better at their ability to control the heating, the thermals, all that kind of stuff and power. So it's awesome to see there's just so many now that it feels like the Switch, like you said, is just too small. But the Satisfy controllers on the Switch is great. But the screen, like I'm playing on the Legion, and when you get a screen that big, my brain, like I said that one time, just lets out the satisfaction. Like I swear to God, my eyes just sighed in relief. They were like, oh, so nice.
Be back 1 sec.
Yeah, no worries. So to see that, so it's going to be cool to see this next version. I know they said Steam Deck 2 is going to be a long time, but I think we'll see. Obviously,
do
the
you
Windows
know if
ones.
it's possible to add like Game Pass games at all? I guess you have to like install Windows on it.
You would have
and then
to
run stuff like
I think
that.
somebody's figured out a way to do that. I know when I had it originally, you couldn't do Game Pass, but I don't really. If you were talking about like cloud streaming and that kind of stuff,
or any workarounds.
I'm pretty sure
like
there's
that.
a way now to work around it. Yeah, but
because you can't you open a browser and then do like game streaming or something?
Anytime there's a browser, you can use Xbox. You should be able to use Xbox on a browser just because, you know,
so
but
I guess
maybe
that's worth a try, maybe.
Yeah. The one nice thing about the Windows ones is that, because like yesterday I was running voice attack with my Legion, and I was sitting back playing a game.
That's
and,
cool.
Oh, dude, no. It's beyond cool. It's voice attack on the Legion is mind-blowing. It was like when I was doing, I was like, why didn't I do this a week ago? Because I was already loving it. I was finally getting in tune with like how it felt, the battery life, what power I wanted to use for games. And I started using voice attack, and I was like, next level.
Damn.
Dude, you can have it do Windows commands. You know, Windows is fine on the Legion. It was an issue on the ROG, but it might be the screen was a little smaller. But yeah, it's going to be cool to see the battery tech come along. I can't wait. I think that's, once that happens, man.
Yeah.
Let's see. Next up, Rolkus says, are Reg and Silver ever coming back? I love the segments they had on indie games. Yes, Silver was on Friday before last, if not last Friday. He just was sick today. Reg, we're going to try to get Reg on, but Reg, he wanted to come on, and I haven't talked to him since then, but he did want to come on because he had a downtime and he was doing a vacation from his game making. But yeah, he wants to come on. I'll have to talk to him again. But yeah, but Reg has for sure made it clear that making a game is his thing. Like he was very nice about it. He was like, dude, I'm going to...
Definitely. Yeah, he's very focused. And it's really cool because I hadn't seen him this driven about, like, I don't know, a specific project or something. In the past, he's done stuff like, you know, his router firmware and different things like that. Yeah. But this time he was, you know, just full on.
It was awesome. It's absolutely right, because I would consider the term apathetic to be him on anything that wasn't games. Like work, he knew how to do.
True.
And so therefore was like, I know how to do this.
He would get it done.
He would get it done.
Yeah.
And so that was just the way. This game, I don't love it. I'm not going to play it. He was apathetic. He didn't want to finish it. He wasn't like all those things, but he liked games. But then when he started talking about making a game and sort of diving into code, it was a completely different thing. And it was like, that was awesome to see. Yeah. It was sad that he can't come on. But
he's organizing something that I don't know if we can talk about, but
I don't want to talk about it yet.
Creation
thing. I want to talk about it when he's ready to talk about it and wants to come on.
But one cool thing is that I'm gonna be making some music for that too, so that like people can use. So I'm just like collaborating.
Very cool.
Which is cool.
Yeah. He's definitely got some stuff planned. I think his big issue is like anybody who creates something. You guys have been excellent. I want to make sure. I'm definitely not talking about podcast people, but you get people who are interested for a bit and then they fall off. And like we've talked about, when the hard part of programming comes up, the brain guys are like, bye, I'm not good at this. And
when the fun part ends, when you have to like
ends. Yeah. And he's done a good job, it sounds like. Most of what they've got set up, I think they got people who like the fun part but are also good and will stick around during the not so fun parts, you know.
Yeah.
You always get that. It's awesome to see. So, yeah, he'll definitely come on, and we're working on some stuff together. But like, whenever anybody's driven like that, I just sort of, I've always been the person to be like, I'll step back on that.
Who's coming on?
Reg.
Yeah.
But we were just talking about how when he was apathetic towards, he was good at his job, so he's apathetic towards it. It didn't drive him because there was no reason to worry. And he was he played games, but he wasn't like, you know, he'd play Royale, but it was like his thing, but there was no real drive. And then when I was talking about making a game, it was completely different. He was just, and like Johnny said, you could compare it to when he programmed his own router software, where I was talking to him every 2 minutes. He's like, dude, I just fucking, you know, and he'd tell you the code that he wrote.
Thing in there, this new feat. Yeah.
He wrote his own router. Cool. I don't even know if that's technically difficult, but from my standpoint, when somebody says they wrote their own router software, I'm like,
okay. That's
okay then. Yeah, you're pretty talented, because there's no chance in hell I would even know how to start. So, I'm glad I sold my LCD deck, got an OLED. That's very cool. Johnny will be collaborating on it too. Absy, or no, he's talking to somebody else. Sorry, I thought he was asking Absy a question. He wasn't. All right, so let's move on to the next thing. GTA trailer. So, coming out on the 5th, right?
Trailer of a trailer. Announcement.
No, God, please don't do that to me. No. Please don't do that to me. So we're getting the trailer. Anybody in chat, what do you want to see from GTA 5? And you guys in here, are we expecting what type of trailer? Trailer
Good
of a trailer?
question. cinematic teaser?
Cinematic? Is it going to be,
Gameplay?
here's fucking GTA, suckers?
It'll
And
be like
it's-
it'll be like the introduction to the world, maybe the characters, and that's it. It won't be like they don't do the gameplay overview of like the features.
Here
of
are the
what
things you can do.
Yeah, that is usually the second or third trailer. The first trailer is usually like you are gonna be playing in like Florida or whatever they call it.
But I think they tend to show some of the gameplay, don't they? Like the way they show.
In the first ones?
Not necessarily.
No?
Not in the
Really?
first ones.
Okay,
no.
I thought they did.
Yeah, and
Shoot.
GTA 5
Alright.
first one they didn't, and I
Because
don't think
I
they did.
thought the first thing I remember from GTA 5 was showing how they were switching between the characters.
No,
Oh,
I
no.
do
That was
believe that
gameplay.
was
No.
later. I do believe
that
that
was later.
later. Yeah.
The first GTA
Yeah,
5
I think
was
so.
literally just Los Santos. Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
like just like like a title
Here's a setting.
scroll kind of thing.
Yeah, like seeing NPCs walking around and seeing like the different.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me just say what I hope. I hope we're all wrong, and it's like, motherfuckers, here's what you can do.
Yeah, I hope they just show us a playthrough of the whole game from start to
Well,
finish.
not that much. Come on, don't be such a smart ass. But I mean, wouldn't it be cool if they were like, hey, here's some of the things you can do in this game?
Yeah,
No,
for sure.
yeah, or like they show us the how GTA has evolved as a whole. Like this is the new stuff you'll be expecting.
Oh, that would be cool. What
I
if
don't know if it was
Oh,
one
that
of
would
you
be
guys
cool.
who talked about a female protagonist or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, that's. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
there
been in
is
footage.
a female and a
stuff.
guy.
Yeah, female
Yeah.
and a guy.
Yeah. Has that been confirmed?
Well, I mean, it's in the footage that's been
In the
leaked.
leaked. And also it's
Okay.
really, there's like emergent ways to like rob stuff, and it's really cool. Really cool how you can
Somebody
like
else was.
full on robberies and shit.
There was a leak, and I think it was fake, but there was a discussion about her having a baby and like what it would be like
Oh.
to a single
Pregnant?
mother. Mhm.
Is it that was something? Oh, poor Disco Elysium devs. I think they're just not gonna make another game. But there were rumors that they were gonna their next Disco Elysium game was gonna be a pregnant woman.
Yeah, I think that
protagonist.
was the story, right? Pregnant
Yeah.
lady.
She'd be like, in my head, it's like a pregnant lady who smokes or some shit, like just like completely
Oh, you mean anti
like white trash. Yeah,
damn dogs? Yeah, I would say for GTA trailer, you're probably more right. Another thing I wanted to talk about a little bit is because people have been talking about AI use in games, and we know for a long time that people have used AI to test a game at night. They go home, it runs tests and stuff. But I was thinking that we saw them use, we saw ChatGPT used for the NPCs in
Mhm.
GTA. Do you think they'll do any, because they're big enough to ignore what a lot of people will bitch about? Do you actually think they'll be using any AI for anything like that's noticeable, if that makes sense? Like something that big, maybe even their own database for AI? And why you guys talk? I'm going to let these
yeah,
dogs.
absolutely. I mean, the AI solutions are gonna reverberate throughout everything, whether people notice it or not. I think anyone would be stupid not to use AI in some capacity. Yeah,
But what specifically are you thinking?
nothing
would use it for?
specifically. Nothing specifically. Yeah.
Because I think actually it would be surprising if they do use it, because
How?
it hasn't. Because AI is still pretty early on in terms of demonstrating, its use in games. I think it's quite.
No, I mean, we've already seen. I mean, procedural. You can say ProgGen is kind of like that if they use machine learning for it. I don't know if there's like good examples, but like in the development process, I'm sure. Or do you mean
I
like
think
something
Johnny's
a consumer
saying
can
front
see?
facing. Yeah, consumer
Front-facing?
facing
Yeah.
is what Johnny's saying.
Yeah, I was
Um,
thinking about prompts and that type of stuff.
Well, I'm not even
Oh,
saying
no.
prompts. I'm saying
No.
noticeable stuff. Like, let's say they train their NPCs on their own internal, just like you said with Outer Worlds. They train it.
Yep.
They train their NPCs. Why? By the way, we saw this with Legion, where Legion, they took the voice actors' voice boxes and they did scan them, and then they were able to adjust the audio up and down to have NPCs all have their own voices and stories.
Yeah, true. I guess that's a good example, actually.
Yeah, I
Of
just
something
I
like
mean,
that.
they just seem big enough that if there's any company that's going to do it without, a worry, because they know people, if it's a good game, people will get it anyway. I was just sort of walking it through and seeing like somebody just said idle chatter would be cool, but they did a lot of idle chatter in the original, right? I mean, it's not
They
lacking.
have enough. The thing is, they have enough devs to just hard code all that and make
That is
scripts
true.
and shit
Yeah.
for all that.
That is true. I think that this is a good conversation that's going to come up a lot, though. A lot is that people just do not understand that behind the scenes, AI has been used for a bunch of stuff, whether it be front-facing or not. And it's just a thing already for testing or for all that kind of stuff. But a game like GTA, or let's say another game that maybe doesn't have the money to hard code all that, where they start looking at, processes. I haven't talked about it other than to you guys, but the WoW voices that we talked about, where they took, has anybody bitched that somebody didn't hire actors to go back and voice all those journals?
Imagine a modder hiring actors to voice every single quest giver.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if that's become a complaint, because I haven't seen that yet. I haven't seen that complaint, but I'm just, I'm just like,
dude.
That's when you know you're in the weeds, when somebody said,
the most soy thing ever, like, poor VA actors, man. No,
I saw somebody get really mad that Darth Vader gave his voice up. What's his name? James Earl Jones has stated that he's done with Vader.
Dude. Why?
Yeah, and I saw voice actors saying it shouldn't be his choice, and I don't agree. Blah blah blah. And I was like,
damn.
God, voice actors are. I know. Never mind. I don't want to start a thing.
Yeah, never mind. Because a lot of my friends, but it's just it is a thing where I think you're getting just like, let's say if I was a writer, and AI, let's say AI is getting better and better at that, and you start to worry. Maybe you do RPG flavor text, and AI is getting better and better, and you start to worry. I think that's where it's going. People are putting their foot down.
No, that's 100% a valid worry, which I think is gonna, like, it's definitely gonna happen sooner or later, probably much later. But stuff is gonna happen. But I feel like, to me personally, the positives are gonna outweigh the negatives in the near future, where indie devs can utilize stuff that they would have to pay a lot of money otherwise that they don't necessarily have. Yeah.
And then, do we know where it's based? Do we know where GTA 6 is based? Do we know the city?
Florida.
Do we know it? Florida.
Miami Beach, I think. And some people showed maps according to leaks and stuff, and it looks like there's gonna be like the city, but there's a huge forestry and shit like that, like a lot of.
Oh, that's cool. I always love when they have a forest area.
Yeah, hunting.
I'm excited for GTA 6. I mean, not to the point to where I'm invested in if it fails, but I'm really excited to see the tech and how far they're going to push the weird
Rockstar game, baby.
Side stuff. Yeah. And are you going to be, if you're mountain biking like the old game, are they adding new activities? What activities? What sports did they have when you first got it? They had tennis, mountain biking, golf. Did they have? They didn't have basketball, right? They did not have basketball.
They didn't have basketball.
What if there's a full, let's say, half-court basketball game in that or something, where you can hire and you can go onto the street and get people and be like, check out their stats? That would be sweet.
Yeah.
Let's see. Huge effing swamp is what I need. There are mountains in the leaks, probably Georgia. Didn't Troy Baker try pushing something about copywriting? Yeah, Troy Baker was early in a weird way. Troy Baker was talking about having his voice turned into an NFT. It was actually, it came off really bad, but his idea,
it's idea. Funny. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I thought I cut you off. It's just funny to me. God, I really don't want to be controversial. It's not that controversial, but there's a huge, before the AI craze, there was a huge outcry from other VAs where there's like a little group or a clique of voice actors that would always get all the jobs, and that wouldn't let other VAs work or whatever, or that, you know what I mean? I don't know what it was. It was like a coalition or some shit. But now it's all against AI.
Yeah, it's all against. Yeah, hey, well, your enemy of my enemy is my friend, right?
Sure,
it's going to happen with all things. Somebody said funny. Bowling, and you're right. Bowling was in GTA.
Bowling.
4,
my God.
Right?
Bowling
your cousin Nico.
4, yes, and the strip club stuff, both.
Strip club.
Yeah, where you
of all the things I think I would remember.
That mini game where you talk up the girls and then get their numbers later and shit.
I do remember dating in 4. Yeah, and going on dates and getting their numbers and talking to them.
And 5, it was fun. Like in GTA Online, my friend had like a yacht from like a CEO thing, and then we would go to the strip club and get like friendly with the strippers and then get their numbers, and then we could call them to our yacht and have a little party in the yacht.
So that's what I was gonna say. You know how a lot of stuff was in online and wasn't in single player in GTA 5 now because of just how everything, you have all the side mission stuff you can do in online. My hope is that all that's in the single player in this one.
Yeah, and my
really
hope
added.
Yeah, and my hope is like they hired 5M. We know that they're gonna do some RP stuff, but my hope is also same as you, is not just restrict RP stuff to the multiplayer and have way more role playing elements in the single player, which I think they will, because the stuff you can do in GTA RP right now, far like in the city, and like how you can interact with different items, albeit obviously it's like mods, so it's not like perfect stuff, like it's like still like some janky UI stuff, but like the way you can interact with the world is far greater than the normal game. So I really hope they bring that shit in for sure.
And then somebody said hockey would be cool, surfing.
Hockey.
Yeah. Kung fu.
Do people play hockey in Florida?
I mean, there's a hockey rink somewhere everywhere, you know, just because of how it's done. So they could easily have a side mission where you join a hockey group to, you know, find out if the mafia is paying for the people to throw the games. You know, it's GTA. They'll figure something out. They'll be like, there's a reason why this works. But here's what I want. Fucking alligator steeds. You're in Florida.
Oh, steeds.
Let me ride an alligator down the center of town and eat people with that fucker, man. I want an alligator mini game or a theme park mini game where you get to make your own theme park. Dude, it's GTA. Who knows what like those guys could easily say, we're going to allow you to make, you know, you're in the mafia or whatever, you're in this group and you have some extra money, so let's launder it by creating a theme
where
park.
You have to lure a mafioso to the swamp and then have a crocodile eat him.
There you go. There you go, man.
Lasso.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how they handle the RP, but I'm not in a disagreement with Abzy, but I don't know, man. I sort of don't want the RP stuff. The reason why, and what I mean is, I don't want to be a cop.
Why?
I don't want to be a
I'm saying with interaction
person.
With the world.
But like, what other would that interaction be?
In the world. What do you mean? Just like Red Dead stuff, like sitting down, having drinks, and
that's far beyond what you were describing or that's far less than the RP stuff that we see in the RP game that you're describing, though. The RP guys are doing cops.
Couldn't you? In the old GTAs, you can go into like a cop car or whatever and like become a cop for a bit, albeit it's just like a little mini game, right?
Yeah.
Or you can go into like a taxi and become a cab.
Yeah, you could be I think you could. Man, are we talking 3 or even prior? Because it's been a long time.
Vice City. I think Vice City you could do that.
And remember, of course, San Andreas had everything, right? San Andreas was what? Three cities, and you know that blew it out of proportion.
Insane.
But I guess I'm just I don't know, man. I don't know. The time waster stuff. I just have to see how it all plays out. I could be totally wrong.
Yeah. No, I just love a lot of sandbox stuff. I don't know how. Also, we got to think about how that would affect the story and like what it would mean to those characters.
And then the other question I have is, do you think it'll be like helicopters, jets? You know, you're still going to be flying over the top, right? They're not going to remove the air stuff, which was a big deal from.
Yeah, probably not, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So, dude, swamp boats with the big fans on the back. Let's do it.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, like those with the fans
from Justified,
giant fans,
where they go, where he goes and visits that family, and they're cousin Dewey or whatever. Yeah, I like that kind of stuff.
Awesome.
Would be great. Yeah. It's going to be awesome to see, but I also have a feeling everything I'm guessing is wrong, and they'll do something surprising, which I think is even cooler. I have a feeling everything I say will, once I see it, I'll probably be like, oh, their idea is better than my idea.
Yeah,
except for the sports, I would like to see.
They are looking to surprise us, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not like.
Yeah. What I'd like to see the most from the RP side as well is like, not a mission where you do a heist, but you do a heist. You make a heist. You decide to go on a heist.
Yeah, that's what I want.
You decide to rob this bank.
Yep.
You decide
like
to
dynamic,
rob this, like
in a way.
Dynamic, emergent, sandbox, like stuff like that for sure. Yeah.
So maybe like Heat, or maybe like Mafia 3. Mafia 3 actually had some cool stuff where you were hacking telephone lines and stuff. But imagine if you find a bank in the game and then you're able to go in and hack the alarm system, and then the next day you're able to hire people and it sort of feels like you made it. Go ahead, Johnny.
If you could like plan heists, where imagine if you had like almost like the mind place thing, but physically,
CSI Crown
you have
board.
a board, where you have like location, you plop in what that location is, method, like maybe it's
I get you.
You kind of like put together how you're gonna do it on the board. You get the right crew for it. Then you go out and do it. That type of stuff would be awesome.
And then the next question, and probably the most important, is it going to have online day one, or do you guys think it's going to do like what, sort of like a...
Is that an important question?
3 months later? No, it's not important to me at all. I just figured I'd pretend, because I don't care about the online at all. But I know people will want to know.
They love for you to like return and double dip and all that, so it's probably like coming later.
I just hope there's a PC version, like when console version is released, like
day one PC.
Yeah, day one PC version, please.
Day one PC.
Oh yeah.
So somebody said Google the surfing link. So maybe surfing's in there. So surfing would be great. All the activities I love. So somebody said hockey. I actually just think, imagine a mini version of NHL hockey in those, is what I mean. So not just the activity, but like going and finding your friends. What if the people that are in the storyline all have a stat for hockey? And you're able to
like
mini
a
game them
Yakuza
in.
thing, right?
Yeah, like a Yakuza. Yes, like the arenas, right? Yeah. So, or dude, you call up, you find Nico, even though I think Nico's supposedly dead, right? I can't remember. I think in 5, somebody hints he's dead.
In 5, he hints that he just got off the grid.
No, that's what, got off the grid. So, but imagine calling those guys up, calling characters up from the other games, and they can play hockey or basketball, whatever sport. I think that would be cool to dive a little deeper into the mini games and have them have
Absi, do you remember Final Fantasy X? The
Blitzball.
Blitzball.
Yeah. Just like big side game like that.
Yeah, like most NPCs in the world that you would talk to, they like many of them also played Blitz, and they had their stats. So you could get them to your team, Dude, like
that'd be awesome.
That's fun.
That'd be awesome. Also, I'm just guessing on this. I personally believe there'll be some kind of companion system. And I actually do firmly, it won't just be the other character. I don't know how that'll go, but I don't think heists, if you hire somebody for a heist, they're just going to do heists. I don't know why, but I feel like there's going to be, do you remember, was it Saints Row? You could hold up and you could call neighbors to come help you if you were in your gang area. I think it was Saints Row, where you could do that. You could get other people to help you. I feel like that would be cool if they had something like that. Because in a lot of GTA games, I end up getting in fights by myself against everybody. So it's like 5 stars, and there's helicopters and satellites lasering you, and you're just like, oh my God, it would be sort of cool to be, call up and get different styles of help like you could in the other games, but even more.
Yeah.
Blitzball, usable theme park, airboats. Yeah, I think we can all agree airboats would be very cool. Blitzball. What else? What else do we got for GTA?
I hope the writing's still really, really good, and we get a very impressive character writing like we did in Red Dead.
What do you think Red Dead's writing is better than 4, or do you think Red Dead's writing is better than 5?
Yeah. Red Dead 2, I think, is the best for me, for Rockstar writing so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. All right. And John, you played them all, right? Do you think
most
go
of
ahead.
them.
Go ahead, Abzi. You were.
There's something to be said about making a story that is a cliche story, which isn't like a very unique thing, but in such a good way that it's a very, very good story, right? They didn't do anything special in the plot, but the way they did it was just
Do you know how you show true strength? Is by not using the gap and making it good there, but by going right towards a trope and being like, we're gonna write ourselves out of that, and they did that. Yeah, that's a good point.
100%.
I think the biggest strength for me that they've shown in prior games is having characters that are very well balanced, in the sense that they have a very high proficiency on like one thing,
right?
But then that is balanced out, but by their inability for other things. So you could think about Michael from GTA 5, is very competent in what he does, right?
Yeah.
The trade of like heists or whatever you want to call it. But then completely unable to have a domestic life or, all this type of stuff. That makes it a good character to me, because it's it's relatable on that side, but I love the proficiency in characters that are good at what they do.
So that brings up a question: relationships, girlfriends, boyfriends, other friends, friends with benefits.
Yeah.
Do we think they're gonna have, like, will they do that?
I hope so, and I hope it's more meaningful than the, hump in the car and eat a burger together and we're done, right?
Yeah. I would love to see I don't know how it would be done and how they would do it. Dating would be fine too, but I don't know why. I think it would. Go ahead.
No, sorry, I cut you off. I just got excited.
I just got excited too. That's why I was like, it would be so cool to have it somehow a domestic simulation that was going on, just a baby domestic one.
Sure.
And you could like figure out how to launder money to get it to them, and that they could, buy a different house. You could buy houses. Because the thing I liked about the games, I like them all, is that, especially online, you could buy different apartments and stuff, but you're always alone. Even when you're with friends, it's all about just you doing this thing. Mm-hmm. And the idea of having a little baby simulation where, like, if you want, you can get married or whatever. I mean, I know that's completely crazy. I just think it would be funny if they
almost
if they
like at the mortgage level, like you're figuring out that.
Where you're consistently trying. But what were you going to say? You were getting excited.
Well, I was thinking, how Michael and what was the other guy?
Michael, the guy Franklin, and Trevor.
Franklin, yeah. Like Michael and Franklin have a relationship that's sort of like a disciple type. Dynamic, which I really liked.
Yeah,
but
I
good. Think, thinking about relationships, what if you had like a male female, or it could just be gay as well, but whatever, like a romantic relationship between two protagonists that also plays a role into the story itself. So it's like their involvement complicates things in a way too, in an interesting way.
Do you know what they haven't pointed out? What if those two characters are in that way? What if those two characters are related? You get the guy and the girl, because we know there's a guy and a girl. That would be hilarious if it was Bonnie and Clyde kind of stuff.
It would,
you find out, that would be very cool. I hadn't even thought about that. That would be awesome. That's it for GTA. What do we got Goofy? Do we have any goofy questions? We have anything cool that somebody's been watching about science or life or? I saw a very cool podcast about time and the simulation theory that I thought was awesome. So how when you travel closer to the speed of light, time slows down for you relatively, but doesn't slow down for anybody else.
Yes.
One of the simulation theory guys had an amazing discussion about it, and he was like, here's why he believes the simulation theory. Like any simulator, the faster you go, the more CPU power it takes. And so what's actually happening is that you're cutting frames when a person goes faster and faster, and it can only update at a particular speed. And so
that's reason why the good explanation for what is happening.
What do you mean?
Like, that's a good analogy for it, like how it would work.
But not only is it a good analogy, it's it's his proof, or his idea of the proof was that you're going so fast that everything is slowing down because it can't track you frame by frame. And so when you get to that spot, you're only updated 15 frames a second, where like Jeremy's updated 120. And so my age has been marked for every frame. Well, that simulation, that character who's traveled, his slice has only been in these very particular parts. And the entire simulation does not work that fast. And he was talking about other stuff, but he was saying that it's one of the reasons why every time we get more powerful stuff, we think, like telescopes and stuff, we're always like, oh, we're just reevaluating, let's say, gravity. We're reevaluating this. But he's like, if you notice, every time we look farther out, we're finding things that it's almost like it's drawing the world for the first time. Like, oh, we're looking farther. We got to put this planet here. And, the planets, it's like this. Like the planet that just popped up yesterday was way too big to be around the star. It's a very small star and a massive planet. And they're like, we got to figure out gravity again, because apparently planet formation is completely wrong. And you're like, or is it? Or is the simulation just going, fuck? And putting shit out because the group inside the simulator, somebody's watching it going, shit. And they're calling Johnny at night going, bro, you need to update the database for it. And he's like, all right, whatever, we'll patch it later. I don't know. I just thought it was awesome because he was using a lot of like programming and ideas that were a little bit closer to games.
Yeah.
And game theory and what we see for a simulation. And it was better than all this other stuff. Go ahead.
This idea of the, what would you say? I guess the
FOV?
visible horizon,
FOV
kind of like that.
Yeah.
So it's like, it is a bit mind-blowing to me when I think about it that, you know, if it is some type of simulation, it would only really spawn stuff when we look at it in a way.
Exactly.
Because it wouldn't have to populate everything, right?
Yeah.
So it's like the further we start looking in terms of the universe, the more the simulation has to populate.
Yeah.
And, you know, if it is a simulation, what if we start seeing bugs where there is a planet that pops up that makes no freaking sense? Like how it, you know, that's the type of fun stuff to me, because most of the simulation thing doesn't seem like has a practical thing that you would do. Let's say like tomorrow, you know, you're convinced that we're living in a simulation. You still have to go into work at 9 a.m.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the world doesn't care.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's real for you.
It's real for you.
So I wanted to point out another amazing thing was the farther we're looking out, I don't know if you guys have been tracking this, but in the last like 30 years, the instruments we have been noting incredibly weird things occurring in the last 30 years, but they're the same instruments. And so this guy was saying that's because the simulation keeps drying out and it's like, uh-oh. And so like we see a laser light that we have never found. We're listening for aliens. Nobody's out there. And the moment we start getting more powerful stuff, even the weak stuff that we have picks up things we haven't seen. And so it's like, what the does that mean? Like, why are we suddenly getting the stuff, even on the weaker, let's say a weaker satellite, we're seeing something that we hadn't seen after 40 years, but the new powerful satellite almost triggers it. It's like a ring of FOV, or, you know, like Assassin's Creed only updates the characters. You know,
or it's a content patch that just came in, like, here's the aliens content patch, you know.
I just love the idea of, that the fact that you are just aging slower because you are quite literally going so fast. The system's like, fuck it, we'll just wait till he stops and then we'll update him. He's too fast, so we're only updating at this particular time. And he was describing it, heat, you know, everything's about heat, deep space, zero heat, or very close. And he was like, does that not sound like a computer and that you're heating it up? And like, it was just all these very easy to understand things versus like a lot of other stuff that you see, a lot of the other, like you said, they're more nebulous theories and things like that. So it was
like
very
the
cool.
Armchair stuff, like
and especially when you do see things like the one guy was breaking down all this stuff, and we were reading. There was a journal on science that was like, why is it that we're seeing all these things on older technology that we never saw, even though it's the same technology, has never been updated? And they have all these reasons why, but they all go down to it could possibly be this, blah blah blah. And I just loved him saying, nah. It's probably that, you know, we've got a little bit farther out on the, you know, on the trigger point for that kind of stuff. It's always fascinating to me to see. I mean, in the end, it won't matter to us, right? Simulation will die out, and we'll die as well. Like, it's not going to matter to any of us, but it's always cool to sort of investigate. Have you guys been reading anything else or watching anything? Space, science, life.
I've been watching Justified quite a lot. That's kind of the main thing there. I also watched the new season of American Horror Story. I don't know if you guys ever.
What the hell? There's a new season.
That's 16, right?
Damn.
16.
Yeah,
I think,
it's so this one is kind of like mini episodes. So it's like short stories, if you would say, instead of the whole season being.
Oh, it's within the season. It's an anthology.
Think of it like Black Mirror, where every
each
episode
does its own thing,
or every 2 episodes. And the first story was really cool. Then it really dropped in quality for me, but I really liked the first story.
That's cool. It's like in Black Mirror, there's some that are really good and some that are just
it's hit or miss.
Like that Christmas episode was like phenomenal.
Oh, the one with John Hamm.
Oh, I love that episode. It's like
Black Christmas or something.
It's like three stories in one, that one, dude. Yeah, so good.
I think with like Black Mirror, and I don't know about you guys, but I was talking to Sleeve about it a couple days ago. In fact, that Black Mirror, I can watch them, but I can't watch many in a row because they can be a little dire. You know, they can be a little
so dire, dude.
Yeah. And
so dire.
This even happened to me watching that Orville. One of the best episodes ever was the Facebook Planet. And you know, their thumbs up and down. Their thumbs up.
I remember that, dude.
Dude, every time you see something like that, your brain is like, oof. Especially because it wasn't super cancel culture when that came out, but it was still getting there. And you're watching it going, that's pretty close to like and then you see it more and you see how quickly he got canceled for humping the statue. And you're like, oh my God, this guy's going to have his brain rewritten. And in a weird way, what is cancel culture? I mean, there are bad people, but it's like when you look at some of these that are occurring, you're like, oh shit, that's really what's happening. Is you're saying you have to get in line with everybody else. And it may not be a laser in your brain, but it's like you're going to lose let's say your money, your livelihood, all this stuff. In a way, that is the same kind of thing. It's just brainwashing.
It is, and it's very proximate to a lot of things we're seeing in a way. Like that could be an evolution.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think with Black Mirror, I've seen one or two, and they were both really dark, like socially. Super dark.
And I think I have the thing with Black Mirror, I call it the South Park effect, which is I'm super on board and loving it 80% into the episode. And the final 20, it's just like it either like overstays its welcome or it kind of like doesn't fully land it for me, the premise, you know what I mean? It's almost like very often they have a super interesting premise, but the execution of it is hit or miss. Some are amazing, but then a lot of them are a little bit like they get a bit tiresome, you know, in the end, and a bit heavy to watch.
Yeah, and they also do teach me something, though. When you do watch it, it may not be directly related to my life or whatever, but I'll see somebody react to something. I'll be like, well, I don't want to get to this person's point, whatever that point may be. Sure. There's a couple that were so dark in that one. There was a few... maybe it wasn't Black Mirror. Maybe it was maybe it was. There's a couple shows that have done the future stuff. I know, like I said, Orville did, but there was another one that also dealt with everybody being segmented off depending on their religion. And it's like us, you know, overall, we're becoming, you know, the world that people can travel. But this went the reverse, and it like locked, you know, so it's like this state, like let's say Oregon can only be Democratic. And you're locked off. You can't even cross the border and stuff. And I was like, hey, we ain't that fucking far away from, you know, like if you feel unwelcome somewhere. What else we got?
I think that's about it.
Any other questions in chat before we go? Talking about the double split experiment.
I watched a cool movie, by the way.
What is that?
It was called Underwater. The name is not very original, but it's
Kristen Stewart.
A movie. Right, Kristen Stewart, a movie from a couple years ago about, you know, big bad monster underwater, right? Sort of like Cthulhu vibes. I thought it was very cool. I liked it. I liked the monster. I thought the fear aspect they did with it was really cool. I really enjoyed it. Like when you finally, you know, see like what's going on.
3 or 4 years ago, I think.
It was like 2-3 years ago. I want to say. And I thought that was really good. I love those movies and those stories about, you know, giant, mysterious, out of this world, Cthulhu-like stuff underwater. You know, fascinates me. And it's always interesting how they tread the line between do they reveal some of the mystery? Because then you also lose some of the fear factor when you see what's, you know what I mean? A lot of these stories from Lovecraft, you don't get to see what killed you. It's just like this unthinkable terror, undescribable, right?
That's actually, I do agree that it's, if somebody wants to occasionally show it or whatever, it's fine. But for the most part, it's better when it's just unknowable. And at the end, you're like, okay, well, that happened. And there, you know, everybody's sort of touched at the end. You get the crazy people. Hush Al Ghul, $5 super chat. Suppose you must choose one peripheral to use from now till forever. Would you select a controller or a mouse and keyboard? Come on, man. Come on, bro.
Mouse and keyboard, obviously.
But I like fighting games, and I'm not playing no mouse and keyboard with fighting game.
Oh, that would suck ass.
Would that not be absolutely friggin' terrible?
Oh my god, yeah. But I'm thinking of playing an FPS with a controller, and I just want to kill myself.
Yeah. I'll post the link. Yeah, to that. Somebody's asking for the link for that science talk. Yeah, that guy was awesome, man. He was great. I think when it comes to like movies about H.P. Lovecraft and all that kind of stuff, yeah, the ones that do In the Mouth of Madness was good, though the bad guy sort of described what he was doing, but all those are awesome. Hey, who knows, man? Once our satellites get a little bit more powerful, we find some new bandwidth, there's going to be like an elder thing calling us up, being like, we won't. One day, somebody will be like, there's this weird signal we're getting from this planet, and then they'll just show up, man. And I will
Cthulhu
absolutely,
has been chilling for
absolutely backstab both of you guys and throw you in front of it while I hide in caves, eating humans.
Same. I would do the same to you.
I can respect it.
But if I went before you, then how would you do it to me?
I
wouldn't. I would get fucked. But if I went before you,
you would screw me over.
I would try to mind game you, like, because I would like challenge you to go to it or something.
Oh,
be
you
like,
try to get me,
pussy.
like when somebody said Absy hated everything, you'd be like,
try to manipulate you or something.
Man, come on, man, you're a pussy. You need to go fight it. And I'd be like, all right, Johnny, whatever, I'm heading out. And you'd be like, haha, I got his house and his items.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else do we got before we wrap it up? People say they were banned from YouTube. I don't know what that means. Extraction is up there with the Raid and the Raid 2. People are talking about movies. Extraction 2 is awesome. Yeah, Extraction 2 is great.
Yeah.
What if the Elder God offers brain upload, Absy? Oh, yeah, because Absy was talking about going full VR. Okay, Absy, I got a question for you. Like the Matrix.
Yeah. Sure.
Sagluloth shows up, the multi-tentacled Elden thing, and he shows up and he says, all right, we're going to give you VR, but just so you know, the entire time you're in this amazing VR, we're slowly eating your feet. Would you accept
Very
it?
specific. Just the feet.
Just your feet.
First of
nibbling.
all, in the real world, do I have the same life expectancy? Am I gonna die?
Good question. No, you would know. How about this? You would live out the rest of your life, and you would know. Or you can continue to fight us. I'm not saying they would kill you right away, but they'd say, like, they capture you, let's say.
Because the cool thing about simulations is I can feel like it's like 1,000 years in the simulation, while only like 10 minutes have gone by in the real world. So.
Absy, always looking for an out, man. Always looking for an out.
So what? No, but like reframe your question. Okay. Do I have the same amount of time outside and inside?
You have a normal life expectancy, but you can. It's not. It's like the Matrix, but simulation. Yeah, we'll say. You know what? We'll say. Yeah, you can change your life. You can become a millionaire. That kind of stuff. You can't change. You can't add magic to a world
and shit.
Right. Okay. Exactly. I knew where you're going. Yeah, you can't.
And it would be a simulated world. Would I know that it's simulated?
You would know that it was simulated, and you would know that outside of the simulation, that numbness you occasionally felt in your feet was them nibbling away, slowly eating your toes and your legs.
Do I feel pain in the simulation? Like if someone shot me in the simulation? If I die in the
I see.
If I die in the simulation, is it like I just load a save point?
Yeah, since I said you can't add magic, you could still get the same ailments, but you could definitely affect your monetary status.
So you're saying if I get shot in the simulation, I would die?
You would die.
But is the real world just as like is
the real world
still
is what
going?
It is today? Let's say it shows up and it says they show up and they're capturing people and they're like, you have a choice: continue to fight us from this stage.
I'm just saying, like, from what you've said, there's literally zero positives to going into the simulation if it's just going to be the real world.
Yeah, kind of seems like a shit deal.
I would choose the VR.
For what reason?
Well, because your feelings, like touch, taste, all those would still be there, right?
Sure.
And the idea of a haunting horror multi-tentacled thing chasing you down is pretty fucking freaky. Like a giant squid coming after you, eating your friends. So I'd probably choose the Matrix. I'd be like, whatever. I'd probably
because that's a thing that's going to be in the real world. Like it's going to be a thing that's going to fuck that. I'll go to the simulation.
I would probably choose a simulation.
Damn, you backpedaled real quick.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I didn't know.
Because
thought it
he
was just
didn't
gonna be
understand
the
what I was
same
saying
outside
about
and
the
inside.
Yeah, it's on the outside.
yeah.
They're like they're not only eating your feet, they're
There's
killing
like
your
this
friends.
invasion going on, right?
So
That's
you
the big
straight up
thing if
just
you know
give
or
in
don't
to
know,
the
right?
the squid people, like just
But I
take
mean,
me.
I have a feeling anybody who took the Matrix, it would be a messed up. You wouldn't want to work, right? You'd be like, you wouldn't want to. You'd probably just. I mean, I'm not saying you. I want to make sure I'm not pointing out Absy, but I'd say most people just be doing a bunch of drugs and stuff. You know, it's like do whatever you can to get out of the whatever the situation is, like whatever the problem is. So you had $1 million. If you had somebody offers you $1 million or the ability to live ailment free till you die. So you die of something. Let's say you have cancer, but you don't know, you're healthy, whatever, and then you die at the date you would if you were sick and could feel it. So you could have $1 million or live until whatever your expected day was and then just die without that pain. Which would you take?
You can have $1 million or
$1 million today, or you would just be relatively healthy, still age as normal, and then whatever day you were going to die because of whatever illness or even old age, you would just die.
But then I would suddenly die and not know that I was gonna die.
Yeah, absolutely. No warning. Even if it was a long-term illness. See, $1 million is low.
for sure.
$1 million, you would take $1 million?
Yeah, it is. No. I would take the health.
Because, see, right? Because
yeah.
$1 million. I remember when you were a kid and somebody said $10,000 and you thought it was a lot of money,
$1 million.
right? So
Yeah.
it's like $1 million. Yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe I
But
should say
also, that's one of my biggest fears is like aging, like kind of becoming fragile.
Ungracefully.
Yeah, like, you know, becoming fragile, being in pain and like that. Yeah, that. So if we can remove that, I think we're chilling.
Yeah,
Because
just
death itself is
living
like,
and then die.
take me. You know, like I didn't mind the years that I wasn't born.
Yeah, because you wouldn't
like,
know. You would just shut off, right?
Yeah,
you'd
you
just be
just shut
walking
off.
around, you'd shut off and find out that the pork rinds you were eating caused a heart attack. You just, there'd be no pain or cancer, riddling body cancer. You would just be like, you'd stroke out. I would say $1 million, scratch that, it'd be 10 million. That's where I would start to think. 10 million.
Yeah.
10 million, I could probably get a clone.
Okay, I give you $10 million right now. What would you change in your life?
Oh, that's a good question. What would be the first thing you change if you got 10 million?
Yeah.
If you won 10 million?
What do you change in your life?
Oh, man. So you get 10...
Would just stop working?
No, because I would freak. I would probably just get a house that was...
You'd buy the house that's in the picture behind you?
Yeah, exactly. I would get a house that was a little separated from people a little bit more because I live on a cul-de-sac. That would probably be my main one. Yeah. That's a good question, though. Like, what would you just do? Like, you were just given 10 million. What would be the first thing you'd change, Absy? You got 10 million.
No, I would have enough funding to do projects I want to do and stuff like that.
Would you buy a home, though? Separate, like your own home and like so you could have your own place?
No, I'm already like I don't give a shit about like a big home, like a big crazy. Maybe I mean I'm
But your
not,
own
that wouldn't
home,
be like my main.
right?
What do you mean my own home?
Well,
like
I mean,
buy my own home.
Yeah, it would be yours. It's
I
not
mean,
that bothersome to you?
I'd buy property, but I don't know if I'd live in it. But I would definitely start a project at like a company on a larger scale and stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff I want to do that funding would be really nice for. It'd allow me to express my creativity in a larger scope and shit like that for sure.
See, he's trying to one up me with morals. Being like,
What morals?
I don't care about
How is that?
amazing
Look, I
homes.
want to be a big
I said
corpo,
I wanted to
okay?
get
That's
it. I
very
said
immoral.
you wanted to be a big corpo. I want to be corpo for Cyberpunk.
I want people to hate me because I'm corpo, but then I'd be like, well, I make good games anyways or something.
Yeah, exactly. As you're calling in from your yacht. Anyway, what about you, Johnny? $10 million. First thing you change.
I would get a bigger place. That's the only thing I can think of. Get a nice place in a nice area, like you said, sort of like, out of the way, but still having
I also have a
infrastructure,
sinking
stuff
feeling,
like that.
guys, I would probably, late at night, see a video about dogs, and I would probably donate a huge amount to like some dog shelter. That was just a stupid amount of money. and it would be lost, and I would be in so much trouble with my family. I know I would be up late and go, well, I only need 3 million, so here's 7 million, because I do love, like, there's the idea of, dogs.
It's a large contribution.
Yeah. Or maybe open my own play. Oh, no, see, I couldn't stand that because, you'd have
open your own.
I was going to say open my own kennel or something where you can take in,
like a
dogs.
nonprofit.
Yeah, because you'll see those videos of, like, some cities where they have a dog problem or whatever, and I always see those, and I'm like, man, if I had $1 million, I'd take all those
I would
dogs.
also want to start, I would buy a very nice place and start my own boiler room show where I bring in artists and have them do live sets and cool stuff.
Music, you mean?
And stream it. Yeah.
Oh, do you know what, when you said boiler, do you know what I thought? Hostel, the movie, the horror movie, where people are killed.
Oh my God.
And he said a boiler room, and I was like, he'd do a torture video? What?
Yeah, I want to be like the dude in Saw and run experiments on people.
Last question, Hush Al Ghul, $5 super chat. You live in a simulation, yet you have to give control of it to a person or group. Who would you choose and why?
I would give control to what? Like a control of the simulation, or like game devs to make the simulation for me?
No, I think he means
Rockstar.
No. Rockstar. Oh, I see what you mean. Give it to a person or group. I was going to say my own mother, because she's always got my. She's got my.
Obviously, she's got my back. Yeah, she's the only
she
one
got my
who,
back. I was like,
my dad would try to fuck with me in some way.
My dad would be like, "You're not working hard enough," and I'd be like, "It was 80 hours this week," and he's like, 120 minimum. But my mom would probably be like, "Let's go ride horse." Is that it for us?
I think so.
Think that's it.
All right.
But I'm gonna recheck the thing real quick.
You know what? I would go part-time, by the way. I wouldn't keep working full-time if I got the 10 mil.
I wanted to bring one little thing up. They showed more Path of Exile stuff. And what's really, really cool, this is innovation I really, really am liking, is so there is the playstyle that we saw before of like, okay, you hit it's not like normal ARPG where you click, press one button, kill a lot of shit. It's not like that, because there's like combos and the right rolling, and it's more like Dark Souls-y and has like cool stuff where you can like synergize stuff, which looks really cool. But they showed this gunner class, dude, and you can change at any point of the game, you can change control from right click to move to WASD. And they changed it to WASD, and the way the class plays is literally like I was watching The Ascent, and it was like a twin stick shooter, and I was like, oh my God, and my excitement like rose a lot. And it was literally just like a twin stick,
like a free update.
Exile too. It's a free game, and all the
that's awesome
stuff you bought in one rolls over, but it looks like they're really for once an ARPG that is doing something very new and very interesting and engaging, because I am so sick of the same like go around, kill a bunch of shit, press one button all the time.
In fact, like you said, oh, the story's good in Diablo, or I like the voice acting. It's like we're starting to pick out in those games the other things, because the rest is so normal. It's like a big skill tree, whatever. We've seen that. Oh, you've got
it's all going to play
afterwards.
The same at the end of the day.
Right.
Yeah.
So the idea of saying, oh, we're going to adjust this up a little bit. Is it going to change it for everybody? Like that entire scheme is now their new control scheme?
That's their new game. Some people don't like it, but that's fine, because they're going to keep Path of Exile 1 going, and they're going to keep giving it updates constantly. So both of them are going to be running at the same time, because they're both vastly different games. One is like slower and more thought out, like challenging, and you actually there's more methodical fighting and combos and stuff, like I said, and you have to dodge and all that. And the other one is the same, where you run through a map in half a second and kill everything around you like a normal ARPG.
Dude, that's so awesome that it's easy to ding on devs, but it's like, hey, we're going to do something different. And it may not work, right? It may turn out to be shit. That's the other thing.
Yeah, 100%.
But there might be a dev who sees that idea and goes, hey, man, that's a legit idea. Yeah, we're going to go with that in the future, and it could feel totally different, which would be, I would love that. That was like that other game you mentioned that was 2D and then went to the weird viewpoint. Hastil or whatever. I don't know. I dropped the link in the Discord. Yeah, that thing looked very unique. especially the way they were changing.
unique.
I haven't seen a game ever try something like that. So
Yep. Yeah, and that's and the really nice thing about so in Path of Exile 1, like the issue with like trying to join that game is that they've had so many patches and updates and different game modes added to the game, and stuff became so convoluted that you need to like watch a YouTube video, and everything's great. And just starting off fresh, like a new game, and they said they want stuff to remain deep, like very deep, but they don't want to have it be like convoluted or complex. Like deep is good, but they didn't want that crazy like complexity. Where there will still be some, but it's not going to be you're not joining something very late in development or late in the where you're just going to be like, what the fuck is this? And
have we seen other Holston? Thanks, old boy. I appreciate it.
Holston.
Old boy. Thanks, old boy. That sounds thank you,
boy.
Lawman, ACG, you guys are the best. Keep up the great work, good stuff, chat, and have a great weekend. Yeah, we said we were going to be done, but now I'm interested in something. Have we ever seen another game do something like that I'm not aware of, that maybe
like sequel?
Change that? No, I'm sort of meaning more on the Path of Exile thing. I know we got to go because Johnny's probably got to piss. We're at 3 hours and 40 minutes. But real quick, have we seen any other game change their, like, change that, the overall scheme of something like that?
Like update so much that like there's so much in the
other
game
than
now,
Cyberpunk,
like,
maybe. Yeah, and where you're talking about changing the entire control scheme so that it might feel like almost like a different game.
Oh, like playing different classes like feel completely different and stuff.
Because I don't know of any other. No, what you said, Path of Exile, where they changing it to feel more like a twin stick shooter. Have we seen another game do something like that?
Yeah.
Because I don't think I don't think I've seen. I mean, I could be wrong, and maybe somebody will come up with but I think for a long-term game, I don't know if that's popped up that often for somebody who's
I don't know of any like sequel or something that like went far off differently than its predecessor
kind of thing.
Yeah, well, didn't the old Fallouts used to be like isometric?
Yeah, but that's different dev, right?
Yeah,
that's different dev. Like that took the IP.
That might have been. Yeah, was it Wait, was it a different dev? Maybe it was a different.
It wasn't Bethesda. 1 and 2 weren't Bethesda, but Bethesda took it for 3 and made it into something else, right?
Yeah, because it was Fargo, right? Fargo who created the. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, but I'm thinking more. I guess I should have said more along the lines of a service game or something that's continued. Because to me, that's a pretty vast difference. And maybe I'm overstating when I see the Path of Exile stuff. Maybe I'm overstating that difference, but that seems pretty heady to do as an experiment.
It's very different than Path of Exile 1.
I think that's awesome.
Very, very different.
I think it's awesome. Too. It probably turned out like, who knows? It might turn out like shit, but the idea is cool to see a dev do that. Anyway, that'll be it. We are almost at 4. Yes, Necro, we didn't make it to 4, just like last time. Necro, I think we're 4 minutes away from 4 hours when we stop.
Already more than Call of Duty.
More than Call of Duty plus an hour. Anyway, that'll be it for us. Peace out, everybody. Have a good week. Join Patreon if you can. If you can't, hope your weekend's good. Are you guys doing anything crazy for the weekend? Oh, that'll be it for us. Bye.
See you next time.
We just continue talking. Are you guys doing anything cool for the weekend?